Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racist Driving League for Season 20, Round 2 of the Championship. Welcome to the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix, and looking forward to what should be a fantastic second round, continuing on with our very enjoyable first race last time out in Australia. I'm your host, Zach Ossie. Under the weather a little bit this week, but struggling with my voice. Going to try and take you through the action as best I can. But so it's a good thing that I've got my co-commentator, Ben, alongside me. Ben, welcome in. I'm going to need your help a fair bit today, mate.
Just give it your best shot, Zach. That's all we can ask.
Well, I mean, if I do as well as the drivers last week did, then we should be okay. I mean, last week's race, as we both saw, was a very, we'll call it neutral's delight, is what we'll say in that sense, because it was a very enjoyable Grand Prix from start to finish, and a good way to kick off the season, as always. And now back to Australia in the last couple of seasons, rather, in the Racist Driving League. But our first few cars now are heading out onto the circuit for qualifying here in China. Che is the first car out on track. Now, of course, we look to the results from last week, and from that, obviously, Dan won the race, Che finished in second, and Grumio in third. But as you and I both know, Ben, and as we're about to tell everyone, the order got changed a fair bit following the steward report on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. So it looks like Grumio took home the win, and then I think was it Jane second, and I believe it may have been done in third. I can't know 80's up there.
I've got the results here on one of my other screens. So the results changed overall in the end after the race Australia. Following the steward's report, Grumio went down as the winner. 80 in second, so a 1-2 for Haas to kick the season off. Dominant start from those two, and definitely, obviously much different to what we saw when they crossed the line last week in Melbourne. Pope came home in third in the end. Che in fourth. 10th Cannon came home with a 5th place finish, which would be a fantastic start for her season. We'll see if she can try and continue that on over the course of tonight's race. And it's ran it your top 10. Dan ended up down in 6th place thanks to a late penalty. Ethan 7th. Courtney Goblin in 8th. So Courtney get himself back in the points for the first time in over a season. Ericsson in P9, and Obsessed Gamer rounds at your top 10 on return to the RDL full-time with a single point for Mercedes. So definitely a lot of change there, Ben, in terms of the order from last week to this week.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was the perfect start that Haas could have ever dreamt about, to be honest with you. 43 points they took home. Yep, ahead of Williamson, obviously. Well, put it this way, Mercedes definitely could have been up there, but due to late race penalties and penalties decided after, that kind of hampered them quite a lot with a late race safety car.
We'll give you a rundown as well of the constructors' standings. So obviously, as you say, Ben Haas leading the way, perfect 43 to start off their season. Williams in P2 with 3rd and 4th place, that's 27 points for their early tally. And then 3rd place now sitting the RB pair of JB in 10th, which is obviously much higher than that team stood all season in season 19. Those 10 points, 10th scored, being enough for 3rd place. 1 point back is Mercedes in 4th place. 5th goes to Alpine on 6. Ferrari with 4 points thanks to Courtney Goblin, and McLaren on 2 points thanks to the efforts of Ericsson. So 7 teams scored in the end of that first round, and Red Bull, Aston Martin and Kick Sauber all went scoreless.
Yeah, in terms of an absolute disaster for Kick Sauber, they were running in points quite a lot during that race, and then obviously then we had his incident on the Tetsu Main Street, and then I think Cook was hampered by a penalty as well as JB starts his first fire lap.
JB, one of the first few cars out onto the circuit. Of course, Che went in and came back in again. Sorry, Che went out and came back in again for his run and was retired from the session. So the constructors' winning pairing from last season will start this race from the back of the grid, and we should be seeing DJ joining us during qualifying. So we'll see him in the other Aston Martin shortly, I should think. Hopefully, we'll get him involved in Q1 as soon as we can. But it'll be interesting to see how Che and Dan make their way through the field, especially with the results that were taken from them after the stewards stepped in last week. So going to be tough for them to try and fight back, but we'll see in terms of who can contend. Obviously, Imra took pole last week. There'll be a number of drivers to keep an eye out for, I think, in this qualifying session. And obviously, later on, Ben, we'll have to keep an eye as to what our predictions will be for the Grand Prix. So we'll watch qualifying, get a sense of who's where, and from there, make our predictions for the race. Sound fair?
Yeah, it sounds fair. Sounds good for me.
See, I had the warm up last week. Last week you put Pope down as your winner, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of don't want to sound like I'm like this in Pope at all, but I had high hopes for him, and well, It was up there. It was P3. I think he ended up having floor damage in the end, which cost him dear. The JB Rounds turned 16 now. Sorry, turned 15. And then up towards the final left hand. Which is a logistical nightmare for track limits, as, speaking of Devil, JB does actually validate his lap time.
JB proving Ben's point. It was a 1:35.3 as he crossed the line there, so not a fantastic start to proceedings then for JB. Obviously still quite new to running his wheel and pedal setup, so we're looking forward to seeing how much performance he can extract from that. I dub it quite akin to watching Hamilton at Ferrari as a prospect in terms of how did Lewis adapt to the conditions at Ferrari. Obviously, as we found out, not very well over the course of the season. Obviously, the real life F1 season is now over. Lando Norris confirmed as champion for those of you who lived under a rock yesterday and didn't see it. Ben, while we are waiting for some more drivers to come round as Rydog completes what I think will be the first lap of the session here. 1:33.959. Rydog, of course, didn't have a fantastic start last week. We're now as the first retiree of the race. Goes down as the fastest in Q1 so far. So good start for Rydog there. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Ben, I'm not sure if you watched the race yesterday. Any opinions on what went down in Abu Dhabi last night?
I do watch it. Yes, I thought Lando Norris did really well going through midfield like he did. He didn't get stuck behind anyone for too long. I don't know what to say. He made a few daring moves, which I don't think many world champions would have made due to the extreme situation. So I put it is Pope has gone 1.4 seconds clear of Rydog.
1.4 clear. That is quite a gap between Pope and Rydog, of course. Gap between obviously season 11 champion and multi-race winner, long-time driver in this league, and obviously a driver making his second start in this Grand Prix. But we'll see if Rydog can pick up the pace compared to last week. We'll see. Hopefully, it gets him some points to the board sooner rather than later. AT got around the circuit now. He's making his way through to turn 8 now. The right-hander about halfway through the lap here, going towards that next braking zone. That's turn 9. As you said earlier, Ben, logistical nightmare. I'd say it's probably a good way to put the majority of corners on this circuit. I'd say no more than turn 16. I'd say it definitely writes about that. But obviously, in terms of navigating this circuit, one of the more technical tracks on the calendar, has its fair share of moments. Obviously, with the two DRS straights, the main straight going towards turn 1, and obviously down towards turn 14. Imri goes fastest by half a second still. So big gains being made by last week's pole sitter. But as you said, Ben, I mean, logistical nightmare. The corners very difficult to navigate in terms of their uniquity compared to other circuits. You don't get a lot of corners like the first 4 here, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. The first 4 corners are pain on tyre wear as well. Tyre pressures, overheating them, it can be a bit of a pain as well. Turn 1 and 2 are pretty much the exact same corner. It's a flow on, and it is I'll just put it this way, it's a mare for those drivers out there because they want to go on the power as soon as they can, and due to the nature of the track, they can't. But then obviously you're looking at the hairpins at turn, I believe it's turn 6, because there is a slight right hand kink just before the first hairpin, and obviously you got the hairpin in sector 3 as well after 1.2 kilometre long back straight.
One of the longest straights on the Formula 1 calendar, and obviously on the RDL calendar by extension. Lucky Lambert is there. He's running as a reserve for the first time this season in the Alpine. He's stepping in for PJ, who of course took pole in this race a couple of seasons ago back on F1 24 after a sensational pole lap in one of the first few 3-stage qualifying sessions in RDL history. So Lucky, good to see him back on the grid. Of course, season 10 champion. Been quite a while. It's been, I mean, obviously half the league class bands almost gone past in the time between where Lucky was last the champion. But it's good to see him back, and hopefully we'll see him in a few more reserve appearances this season as Pope retires. Only seven cars have set lap times, Ben. Should we be concerned this early on? I mean, there's still 8.5 minutes to go, but only 7. I think it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, at this moment in time, it's normal to see quite a few drivers setting their own lap times and everything like that. But just checking all the invalidations now, there is actually only 2. JB and Rydog are the only 2 that have invalidated. It looks like JB, because of the shenanigans at the final corner, actually ended up invalidating his next lap. So even if he wanted to go for it, he couldn't. As Grumio sets a 31.5.
1:31.5 from Grumio, enough to beat Imri by 4 tenths. Good start then for the reigning champion and the driver who turned out to be last week's winner. We are actually sitting here with one of the drivers that turned out to be last week's podium finishers. Pope, welcome back into the stream. What are you doing here?
I just thought I'd come in and give you a bit of insight on the Grand Prix for the bits that you cannot see.
I mean, by all means, yeah. Any information is good information.
So it's actually going to be a dry race, so completely dry. So we'll be looking at setups are probably going to be higher wings, and obviously I'm sure you've already mentioned in the stream that Che and Dan will not be taking any further part in this qualifying session. So that leaves Grumio, Imri, myself, and Curtis, who's only 3 tenths behind, as the top 4 currently.
Well, Curtis, of course, looking for some points after Red Bull failed to score in the last Grand Prix. In terms of strategy and in terms of running on tyres, Pope, what can you tell us in terms of what you think drivers will go for today?
So, as Ben excellently mentioned, somebody who has raced here previously, the tyre pressures need to be really high. There's a lot of heavy load and long sweeping corners, which does pick up that tyre wear quite quickly. From my knowledge, Imri can hit about 10% per qualifying lap on the soft tyres. So, expect a one-stop still. The pace will drop on those medium tyres around lap 11, lap 10. So keep an eye out for that would be the thing that I say to keep in mind. Going on mediums hard, it looks like the first strategy, but some drivers, especially those who maybe don't get into Q3, might look for a 2-stop and try to capitalise on a late safety car.
And Pope, I'll ask you one more thing. I'm not sure if you're seeing the times on the board right now, but Grumio fastest 1:31.5, but 13th place Ericsson 1:34.1, so almost 3 seconds covering the cars at set time so far. Will that be a concern? Perhaps the field might be quite spread out over the course of the race?
I think, in a way, that's kind of good. It allows people to have different battles. Obviously, it's quite a big gap, but if you look between P6, really, P5 Cole Websey, and HB Cook in P11, it's only 3 tenths. So there's a lot of drivers in that mid-pack, as we typically see, hitting a good lap time. But yeah, the field is quite spread, so that will also make strategy a little bit harder for those at the front on when to pit into a good gap.
We shall have to wait and see. Well, thank you, Pope, for coming to chat with us, and we'll hopefully see you perhaps back here later on if the race goes all well.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very much.
That was an unexpected visit from Pope there. I think you have to agree with me on that.
Yeah, I can agree. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Right, well, I mean, he was here and he is gone. So, but obviously in that he has retired from this first session. So no lap time from going on for the minute. But it looks as though he should likely be safe in Q2 at this point. We have got 14 cars and now set lap time. So JB comes to the line. He currently sits in P12, but has retired from the session at this stage. Only Courtney Goblin, Alvar, and 10th yet set lap times. So obviously we know that Che and Dan are currently going to be setting the bottom 4 going out of this qualifying session. It could be 5 if DJ joins us. But then from there, I just have to see who the 2 drivers get knocked out with them. I mean, as of right now, it's looking like it'll be Alvar in 10th, but Alvar on the circuit looks to try and change that. Of course, has had a few minor escapes from qualifying knockout in the past, so we could see him try and do that again. Potentially, Ben. I have to wait and see what Alvar does, but it should be entertaining to see who gets knocked out along with Che and Dan towards the end of the session. 10th Cannon is now on the racetrack herself.
Yeah, just watching 10th Cannon on their out lap. Thing around here is the fact that the ERS deployment is a bit bizarre. It says 10th actually locks the rears on her out lap, should I say, right at turn 6. So it's just proving how much of a pain it is just to try and keep temperature in those tyres. And then when you do get temperature in those tyres, it's very easy to overheat them. Talking about Alvar, just short while ago, Dak. Alvar was similar to my pace. It was scraping through by the scruff of his neck, but if it gets you through, that's what mainly matters, to be fair.
For that first qualifying session, you just got to get yourself through, and then from there, pace obviously gets more and more important as you continue on. But Alvar, now on his what looks to be his first proper lap of this session, and not a moment too soon. There's only 3 minutes to go in this first round, and we're looking at the minute as though Courtney Goblin and perhaps even his Alvar teammate Ericsson could be under a bit more pressure, because Courtney Goblin yet to lead the pit lane. Obviously scored points last week as a result of the final say from the stewards. It'll be exciting to see if we can try and add to that streak. And we'll try and make it a streak. I think it's definitely helping to get some more points on the board for Ferrari this season. And we'll have to see from here as to what goes down in these closing moments. So obviously Ride Dog there, you've got to keep an eye on him as well. Could potentially find himself going out, but 1:33.959. Only one driver slower at the minute, and 3 of them yet to come out and set time. So we'll see in these last 2 minutes who's got what and who can get themselves into Q2.
Yeah, so just watching Alvaro coming through the final couple of corners, kept it very nice and clean for the hairpin. Does he see Chaklovitz in? No, he doesn't. Keeps it really well within Chaklovitz. And up to the line, it will be a 33-0. That pops him good enough for P5, so it shows that the track probably is still a bit green at this moment in time, as 10th has actually gone purple sector 1 according to my little full track map that I've got in the bottom right corner. Whether that is a logistical purple sector 1 time is yet to be seen. I guess we'll find out in the next 45 seconds or so as it cross the line.
My theory, I think truthfully, I think it's a game thing just specific to that driver, unfortunately, but it'd be cool to see attempts to end all purple. She's gone 52-5 in the was that 52-5? 52-2 in the second sector. So could be looking at a good end to the lap here, and we'll see how she stacks up in terms of the 15 cars have already set times where she emerges among those. Ericsson currently last car going through. That could change if 10th gets a time faster. Alvaro obviously still up there in P5, Websy P6 just behind him. Courtney is out on circuit now, so looking for one last effort as 10th Cannon comes up towards the line. It's pivotal, Ben. She doesn't get a lap deleted now. Made it stick nice and easy at the last corner out turn 16, and it'll be 10th for P6 on the board. And the good form continues on for the RB driver. And we're now down to Courtney and Ericsson. See if either one of them can get themselves out of the bottom four, and into Q2 at the expense perhaps of Rydog or even JB.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching 10th for the final sets, I had a bit of a whoopsie coming out of the hairpin, so it's just showing how difficult this track is, how green it is.
What, sorry?
A bit of a whoopsie. But yeah, 10th had a bit of an oversteer moment, crossover potential in there, so it was only about 3/10 off Grumio, so judging by if she kept that lap together, she could be right over there with Ibri, which is decided to turn out for another lap.
A whoopsie moment. I'm gonna remember that. That's my word for the week. At some point, I'll have to use that. But Courtney Goblin now, 30 seconds left to come up towards the line to begin his first and what could be only lap of qualifying here tonight. Ericsson going up towards the end of the first sector. It'll be a 24.666. So down by a tenth compared to his previous effort. So work to be done to try and improve on his time and to send Rydog out for the second time. Obviously, Ferrari didn't go too well in qualifying last week. Obviously, only a short qualifying session prior to the full-length Grand Prix. We'll have to see here who's got what. 24.555 for Courtney Goblin. So close quarters here in the ending to this first session. Checker flag is now up. Both Sauber still on the circuit. 10th Cannon also out on the track by likely pitting this time. HP Cook on track as well. I don't think can lose out from now. I think he'll be sitting P15. Should both Ericsson and Courtney go quicker than him. So it's down to these two. Only Rydog and JB should really be the ones that are worried, as well as, of course, the two cars still on track. DRS in play here for Ericsson as he charges down towards turn 14, looking for a strong end to his lap. Courtney still on circuit, going through turn 11 through turn 12 as we speak. No lock up. Ericsson keeps the car under control. Can the McLaren sneak into Q2 a day after securing the driver's title in real life with Norris? Last corner now for Ericsson, charging up towards the line. We'll see what time he puts in. It'll be a 1:34.091, improved, but only by 100ths, so not enough. So Ericsson is out, and it's down to Courtney Goblin. Will he knock out his teammate from here, or will Rydog see his way into Q2 for the first time in his RDL career? Courtney Goblin, final corner, his one and only lap up towards the line. Can he do it? He won't do it. 1:34.186. Both cars go out. Rydog goes through. HP Cook shot up towards the top of the times there. Very, very close quarters. Ericsson and Courtney both go out with Che and Dan. Rydog and JB just squeeze in.
Yeah, it's pretty close between amateurs as it normally is in audio. Look at the gap. I mean, obviously, if Che and Dan did actually or were able to compete in this session, then we're probably talking a bit closer towards the drop as well. I mean, you've got 3 drivers all towards the 33.4, 33.542, and then the 33.556 as well. So it's going to be tense in this second part of qualifying.
So then, 4 drivers gone and 15 still remaining as we head into Q2. Obviously, losing two major players in Che and Dan after the stewards' input last week, and we'll see if they can work their way up the order later on. But for now, though, Ben, we have got a number of fantastic drivers, but it's still in the running for Q3, and perhaps a chance with those two at the picture, perhaps a chance for some surprise newcomers to the top 10.
Yeah, obviously, I don't actually know what had happened to Chain Down. I don't know if they got qualifying bans or if they actually couldn't compete in the actual second and third part of qualifying. Obviously, they didn't really set representative lap time, so we'll be expecting them to come through the field. Who knows? Who knows what could happen in the second part of qualifying? Could end up seeing both Red Bulls through. They're looking quick, particularly in the first flying laps. I think it were Curtis P4 and TJ in P7, so they're looking really quick. Don't discount Kick-Sauber. Haas obviously will be up there. Mercedes, who knows? RB as well. It could be a very interesting one as DJ has now joined the session, so we won't see him until the race starts.
That'll be in just over half an hour's time. We'll get our first glimpse of DJ on the circuit here in China. And yeah, as you say, I mean, I think there's a number of contenders who could really pack a surprise, especially given how stretched out the field was in Q1. It was, I saw it there as well, about a second and a half between P1 and P5, which is quite a rarity in the RDL. We're normally used to quite close competition here, but hopefully we'll see the gap start to come down a bit in Q2, and we'll see who out of likely Grumio or Imri will have the pace to sit themselves at the top of the session in Q2, and obviously later on he'll be looking at the second pole of the season. Imri took pole last week, so we're going to try and go 2 for 2. The race obviously didn't go to plan for him, but I think this race will be all about recovery for Imri, Ben, given the fact that he crashed out last week.
Yeah, I think we can expect him to take more of a bit of a cautious approach, trying to get the first points on the board for the season. Obviously, with the disaster that he had in the second sector, which ended up resulting in a penalty for, I believe it may have been his teammate actually. I don't know what had actually happened, but I guess we'll find out. I'm just watching Pope's sector 1 times here and there. Had a bit of a wobble through turn 4 towards the hairpin, now turn 6. No lock up, perfect rotation through there, and then it's through the S's, which just an absolute pain on the tyres. They do not catch a break on this lap, so I expect those tyres to be suffering in the race.
So Pope with a 24-4 in the first sector, so not a bad start at all from the Season 11 champion, and we'll see if he can try add another win to his tally over the course of tonight. Obviously 15 points on the board, leads Williams in terms of the point score for the team in last week's first race. And coming towards the second split now, I believe. So no, he's already passed it. That's on me. 52-4 was Pope's second sector. So we'll see whereabouts he puts himself in terms of relative to Grumio's Q1 time. Obviously, we'll see a number of these guys on their more likely worn soft tyres from Q1, and then we'll see him both on the fresh sets later on. So it'll be interesting to see in terms of how the times transition in that sense. But we'll see if anyone plays any games in terms of tyre usage over the course of Q2 to put themselves in better spots for Q3. Pope towards the line now, final corner into turn 16 for the Williams machine, and coming up towards the line to complete that first lap. 1:32.7 on the board for Pope, and we'll see later on if anyone can try and match or exceed that over the course of the session.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If that is a U set from Pope, that is a pretty good first banker. I'm guessing the track will develop quite a lot and will ramp up. Track evolution, as they call it. I'm guessing it will ramp up as we go through the Q2 session and then into Q3 as well. As we heard from Pope earlier, there's no threat of rain in the race. Didn't so often to mention qualifying, but judging by the weather, it will remain dry. So looks like there's no chance of rain, at least throughout tonight.
I think at this point, the way I see it, this track is not in England, so the chance of the weather turning that quickly, I think, is next to impossible. But we'll carry on and see if anything does turn at all, if it does get any cloudier. But as Pope said, completely dry, so no risk of rain. It should be clean, hard and fast, all the way to the end of the Grand Prix later on, which should be very exciting indeed. So a few more cars setting times now. Websy's 2/10 off Pope in P2, 80 in third place in his new Haas. HB Cook in fourth for Sauber. Rydong in P5 there, 1:33.657. So pace picked up a bit more for the Ferrari driver, the obviously newcomer to the league this season. Ethan P6, JB in P7, and that's almost half a pack of set times so far. Obsessed Gamer into the last corner to start his first lap. Grumio going towards the end of the first sector now. We'll see what his first split looks like. 24-2, so not a bad start there. I think a 10-2 up over Pope, but with a lock up there, going into turn 6, into the hairpin. Just keep an eye out on those. But I mean, if the tyres are worn, I'm suppose you can probably get away with it a little bit.
Honestly, I think Grumio will be running a U-set tyres. He'd like to save it for race, particularly if we get a late race safety car. That's only what they're there for. Briefly avoiding Vector 3, well, I'm sure that's just the Aston Martin keeping out of the way of the kicks out. It is indeed.
Should be
Grumio 52-1 second sector for Grumio. I think it's 3 tons up on Pope.
Big improvements then from Grumio. We'll see if he can make any more gains. His teammate has joined the party now. AT is here on the back straight waiting for his teammate to give him a good run on the run towards turn 14. This will work out quite nicely for those guys, as if Grumio needs the toe. Let's think about it realistically here, guys. Going into turn 14, Grumio will want to try and avoid getting his lap deleted, as it'd be a good waste of a toe. And we've seen up here how pivotal it is, both in this league in the past and obviously in real life Formula 1, how crucial that slipstream is, as we saw it in qualifying on Saturdays. Grumio goes fastest, but not as close this time around, 132.1. But obviously, if he is on worn tyres, then that'll play into it a bit, as TJ behind him goes 4th fastest, 132.9 on the board for the Red Bull.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just watching the Sector 3 that time where Grumio picked up his slipstream from his teammate. It was 3 turns up on Pope in the final sector alone. He matched Pope in the second sector, and then the rest of the time regained in the first sector. So probably didn't have that many mistakes here and there, but kept it all together, and that's just him through into Q3.
Speaking of seeing through to Q3, Curtis just went up there, 132.8 on the board for the Red Bull drive. Red Bull looking much better than they did last week. Curtis P3, TJ P5. So obviously those two both failed to score in last week's event, but they were fighting in and around the points throughout the evening. Obviously, the late safety cars threw them a little bit, but we'll see if they can recover that and get their first points on the board this season. It should be interesting over the course of the race to see which teams are contending in the terms of this one. Obsessed Gamer there in P7, currently running in that top 10 to get us into Q3. 10th Cannon and JB, both RBs, separated by 11 thousandths, but both of them currently in the bottom 5. So languishing there. Imri into the second sector, and looking for a strong lap himself to try and get himself back up with Grumio and Pope.
Yeah, judging by 10th lap time at the moment, I reckon that is on a U-set tyres as well. 10th was right up there in the 33s, so unless they've had a mistake here and there, that is probably a use run for 10th. Just watching looking on, but through the second section now, it is a bit of a fluster on this one by the looks of things. In terms of actual tyres, they're coming out for help already, so don't expect to see them too much in the race.
Imri there, out of the second sector, 51.6 on the board for Imri. That's a good start. I'm not sure if he's using his fresh set yet. Let's keep an eye on how big the gap is. But Grumio's retired, so I think he is saving at least one set extra for Q3, which should be interesting. We'll see what sort of approach he takes, how aggressive he can push it in Q3. He can probably go all out thinking about it on both sets. But Imri last corner here, we'll see. Likely if he gets himself in the top 10 safely, he should retire as well. He's trying to counter Grumio's 2 sets. Last corner then for Imri towards the line. It'll be a 1:31.5, which is actually faster than, to memory, is faster than Grumio's lap, or around the same sort of pace as Grumio's lap from Q1. So Imri on fire here, but I think using that fresh set. Good lap then from Imri. And next few cars coming through here. Let's keep an eye out on our next car through, which will be Alvar into the last couple of corners here from McLaren. And we'll see if he can perform another escape to get himself into the top 10 this time and fight for a place in Q3. 60 minutes to go in second qualifying. Alvar 1:33.1 is enough for P8, which is still quite close to the minute. It's about 4 tenths covering P8 to P11, so keep an eye out on that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the Red Bulls, as I mentioned earlier, the Red Bulls are looking quick here again. Whether that translates into Q3 and then eventually on into a race where the points are mattered. And the day it's a marathon, not a sprint here. You've got to really take care of your tyres. We may see a bit more of a strategic race, but hopefully with the long back straight, you'll see a lot of overtaking as well.
Pope obviously points out later, but looking a bit more of a one-stop over the course of the Grand Prix. The question will be in terms of starting tyres as to who starts on the mediums, perhaps who starts on the hards and tries to go longer on that first stint. It'll be interesting to watch. Could we see a two-stop in play? Those soft tyres perhaps could come into effect on the two-stop. It'll be interesting to see that as well. But for now, though, it is all focused on getting fast laps in. Everyone has now set a time. Currently, the bottom 5: Lucky Lambert, Rydog, Ethan, 10th, and JB.
Just looking on the gaps now as well, it looks like Lucky Lambert's not too far behind Cook, and then you've got a tenth and a bit here and there between Lucky Lambert and Rydog. Just speaking of people who are actually on their laps at the moment, Ethan's currently on 1, Lucky Lambert's also on 1 at Alvar.
So a number of cars.
So we'll keep an eye on these. So, yeah, that is out. I'll let you carry on.
So I'll cut you off. But I think Alvar may be coming in this time. I'm not too sure. He's just done his lap for P8 there. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on Lucky and Ethan and JB now as well. JB's just started this lap too, so we'll keep an eye on him as well. Obviously, bottom of the chart right now. Ethan also there. Both Alpines in the bottom 5s. Both of them needing recovery here. Ethan up by almost half a second in Sector 2. It's up towards the line now. It'll be a 1:33.0. Enough for P7 on the board. And that will knock Obsessed Gamer into the last spot. HP Cook currently in the bottom 5 now. So changes there for Sauber. Work to be done on that front for those guys to get their guy into Q3 along with Imri up top.
Yeah, it looks like Lucky Lambert's actually abandoned their lap, so they may get one more chance. They may actually be able to come into the pits, then go back out again. But we'll probably use a newer set of tyres, providing that Lucky Lambert does, of course, have the time. It is so good to see Lucky Lambert back on the grid, though. It's been a while.
Definitely been a while. I still remember the first race I saw him win was, I think it was season 12 Imola, which came down to a late shower with about 3 or 4 laps to go, and he was I believe one of the first 2 drivers who pitted onto Inters, and it worked out for him. He won the race. Obviously, a season out from his title-winning campaign back in season 10, which I wasn't here for, unfortunately. I know I've been here for quite a long time, but I haven't been here for that long, unfortunately. So Lucky, obviously, good to see him back on the track again, as you say, Ben, and we'll see what sort of time he puts in when he comes around this time. So one more lap from to run, I should think, and we'll see if it's enough for a Q3 spot.
Yeah, we'll also keep an eye on the Ferrari as well, by the looks of it. He's just heading through Sector 2. He's on his outlap at the moment. As JB comes across the line, it'll be a 33.1. We're probably talking into the 32. It was I-32 is just to be safe. Track Evolution is definitely kicking in.
133.182. The next car to him is Obsessed. 133.194. So 12 thousandths, Ben. That is the gap right now between Pete going into Q3 and going out now. So 2.5 minutes to go. And Obsessed, I think rightly so, is out on the circuit. As is HP Cook, who needs to gain a few more tenths. Lucky Lambert, same thing, but I think we'll likely pull it into the pit lane this time. Rydog is out there. 10th Cannon also out there. So we'll see what these guys have got late in the session on fresh tyres for perhaps a pushing Q3s. Lucky Lambert's got around.
Lucky Lambert. Yeah, I just caught that. As I was scrolling through drivers, actually, believe it or not. Just caught that. I don't know how he drives out, whether he's just lost a rear on exit at the corner, mid corner. I guess we'll find out. But if that is a new set of tyres, then Lucky Lambert's at risk here.
He's been on them for 3 laps, so I think we're probably okay on that front. Like I said, I think he'll probably pit this time, and I think he's gonna run out of time here to get another lap in on another set of tyres, unfortunately. So we should likely see Lucky Lambert out of qualifying, unless he's going for one last push, which he hasn't got enough battery for. So I think that should be it for Lucky in this session. JB retiring, risky spot to be in. He's done that on the circuit to mind, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he has. So there shouldn't be any concern to the guys around him in terms of lap times. So last few minutes now, Obsessed to start this lap. Oh, of course, if one of these bottom 5 improve enough, then JB's out. So it's a risky spot to be in. As Lucky Lambert also retires now, as expected. So 2 cars that could be out. One of them is guaranteed to go out. It will be P13 at highest for Lucky Lambert, reserving tonight in place of PJ. Rydog and 10th still on their laps. Rydog up towards the second split. Up by just under a 10th.
Watch Rydog.
10th up by 4 tenths there. And the first sector. We'll see what she does in sector 2. Running on board now. And up towards the split. It is almost 7 tenths. Big improvement, Ben.
Yeah, we're looking at 10th getting into Q3 here. It's, I'm just watching Rydog through sector 2 at a minute. Looks like you could have had a couple bare exits here and there. The car not really rotating to its expectations as it comes into the hairpin. Now is he keeping nice and clean, a bit of a lock up, bit wide, and then a bit of a wobble obviously. Will this be enough? Probably not, but we'll find out.
Last corner for Rydog, then up towards the line. 20 seconds to go, and it's been deleted. So there we go. Then it'll likely be P15 for Rydog. I can see 10th improving big time here short of a late mistake on this lap, but this could be enough to get her into Q3 perhaps, by the skin of her teeth. Last corner up towards the line. What can Temp do on the board? 1:32.9, P5 on the board for the RB driver. And you can see AT into P5 now himself. Obsessed is currently out. Can he get
Look
himself back
at
in?
the toe.
He can't.
Look at the toe Imri's giving to his teammate.
HB Cook looking at big gains here from the back of his teammate as he goes into turn number 40. I missed the toe, unfortunately, Ben. Sorry about that, but we'll catch the end of his lap to be the last car to get himself in with a chance of making Q3 to knock Alvar out, unless Alvar himself is improving as well. HB Cook up to P9. Ethan could still lose out because Alvar's up by 2/10. This could be big. Ethan may lose out by 3,000 here if Alvar improves over both cars. Last few corners now, and the run's turn 16 for Alvar to get himself into a Q3 appearance.
Oh, that's wide.
He's gone wide.
Hey, that's invalid as well.
Oh, that's gutting.
No.
And Ethan breathes a sigh of relief as it means that he is through. And I mean, Rydog, I think Rydog's out of it. So that's the bottom five. Yeah. Alvar, JB, Obsessed, Lucky, and Rydog all go out. And Ethan narrowly, and along with HB Cook, both get through to Q3. TJ will join them along with Websy, 10th, 80, Curtis, Grumio, Pope, and Imri, who went fastest at the end in Q2. 1:31.5, but I think has one set of fresh tyres less than his closest challenger Grumio did in Q1. So it should be interesting to see who takes pole for the race here in China. Ben, give me your thoughts on what close end to qualifying that was.
You're very close. We start to see a lot of track evolution, particularly down in sector 2 and 3 as well. Not necessarily much in terms of gaining sector 1 here and there. It's mainly all done in 2 and 3. Obviously, Cook got his toe, which really helped him out. It's very got him through by the skin of his neck, to be fair. It's only just over a tenth or so. Just looking back now, Alvar obviously invalidated on the final corner, or in the final corner, should I say. Just very disappointing for there, went wide and then cost himself big time.
Lost himself a couple of places there. I think at highest, you could be looking at perhaps even P6, P5, maybe even P4. I mean, he only had 2/10 on it, but it was very close regardless. So, tough break for Alvar. We'll see how he recovers in the Grand Prix. But in terms of predictions for pole, Ben, this doesn't count towards our challenge later on today. But who would you, if you had to give me a pole sitter now, who'd you give me?
Grumio for pole, I think. I think what we saw from Imri is a new set of tyres compared to the likes of Grumio, and obviously Pope's not too far behind as well, so if Pope can pull out a lap out of nowhere, which he can. We've seen it before, Silverstone, obviously in the dying few members of the race as well last season. We saw it where Pope were on fire, and he ended up actually claiming the race win on that one. So it's all to play for really between the top three. Is I do not actually get a chance to have a look at the standings.
So I can tell you that Imri was fastest from Pope and then Grumio, so close quarters, half a second separating the top two, but Grumio a bit further back, I think, on that one set of tyres, perhaps he set the 32.7, so not a fantastic lap, but enough to get into this Q3 session now, and we'll whistle it down to our final 10 who will fight for pole position here. So not a moment to spare, and in terms of teams getting their cars into Q3, we have three teams that got both their cars through, so Haas, Red Bull, and Sauber have got both their cars in. Aston Martin, Alpine, Williams, and RB all housing lone entries into this last session. So 12 minutes, and we'll see who takes pole. It should be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What we're likely to see is again on new set of tyres, so it'll be Imri's first lap, followed by Pope by the looks of things. So we'll keep an eye on what Imri does, and then followed by Pope. So. This will guarantee you this will be a new set of tyres for Imri.
We'll see what he does.
I don't expect a blockbuster. Yeah, normally I'm guessing as well after saying that absolute blockbuster lap in Q2, this will be a new set of tyres. So we'll soon find out.
So who's got the patience to set that barnstorming lap? We'll find out over the course of this session. 5 cars out on circuit already. I think a few more joining them, leaving the pit lane as it stands. I think it might be HB Cook, Che, and they're all staying where they are. Never mind. I thought my eyes are playing tricks on me. I thought they were moving, but they're not. So we'll leave that for now, and we'll come back to them when they do emerge from the pit lane. But 6 cars out on track, being led out by Imri. and we'll see as to what sort of pace him and Pope have got. I think they'll be Grumio's closest challenges. Grumio going through turn 10 himself. He's got the Red Bull of Curtis right behind him, as I think we'll see him, the champion, let the Red Bull go, which he does. So I think it's kept nice and easy there for Curtis and Grumio, and we'll see who's got pace later in a few moments' time.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just about to start his final. It's his first final lap, should I say, in Q3. Around the final corner he goes. We'll see how he handles the first sector.
Down towards turn 1, there's that long run to the first corner, one of 2 DRS zones on the circuit, and into that sweeping first corner. Looking for a good entry. Obviously, I think how you approach turn 1 can sort of set up these first few corners as a whole here. Through turn 3 now. Heading slightly out wide, but coming back in again for turn 4. Keeps the car nice and controlled here, looking for a good first sector, but likely a slower first sector on those older tyres. 23.9 on the board.
23.9.
Imrie to start things off.
Yeah, not that bad of a lap for, not that bad of a first sector from him. Really, where he starts seeing go through the bit of S's now. Not as cool as Japan and White Line, not as high speed, but obviously still cool nonetheless. Puts a lot of strain on those tyres. May end up getting a bit of dirty from the Red Bull. Keeps it very nicely within track limits, so, and then it's up towards turn 10 and turn 11 as well. Just pushing it just fine firmly through turn 10, and then the right hander onto the 1.2 kilometre long back straight. It is a very long straight, I can tell you that for a fact.
I think that's possibly your favourite thing about the track so far, Ben. 51.7 for Imrie, second sectors, which I think for worn tyres is a good if they are worn, is a good good second sector. So we'll see what he puts on in these last couple of corners. He'll be needing that clinic to get himself into, or at least onto the front row to give himself a good chance at a good start. Obviously lost out the lead on the race start last week in Australia to Che, so I want to try and avoid doing that again. But obviously slightly longer run to turn 1, we'll keep an eye out for that. It's up towards the right, it's 31.5 for Imrie once again. Similar sort of time to what he did in Q2. Pope in second, 132.6, big gap, it was a second in front. Qualifying will be dominated, I should think, by Grumio and Imrie this season. It'll be down to those guys, I think, in terms of raw pace to see who gets the most poles once again. Ethan third place, 133.7, but eyes on Grumio here as Websy goes into second himself, 132.3 on the board. Then it'll be Curtis in fourth place.
Oh, Grumio smashed it.
131.2, wow.
2.5 tenths.
Big gain.
Just when we thought Imrie's that were good.
Grumio, as always,
Grumio pulls one.
finding another level.
That's your 10-time world 10-time world champion?
Yeah, you know, that's right.
Yes. Sorry, I'm getting my numbers mixed up today. I thought it was like December 1st at the start of the day. And then find out we're towards the middle of November, December, sorry. As I nearly actually say November. God, what is wrong with me?
Do you want me to take over for a little bit?
Feel free, please.
Okay, we'll give him a second to sort of refresh. AT going through sector 2 now. One of the 4 cars obviously stayed in the pits a bit longer before going out for that first run. Him, TJ, HP Cook, and Ted Cannon all on circuit. Ted Cannon, the only driver not currently on a flying lap. We'll say that, I mean, the top 6 are all in their in laps obviously, but these 3 are all on flyers, and Ted the only one who hasn't gone to a flying lap yet. So we'll keep an eye out for her in a few moments' time. But good for her to get herself through to Q3. I keep looking at that Red Bull and thinking that TJ's lost his front wing when he hasn't. It's just a weird design for the wing. But TJ towards the line, 133.039. That's enough for put both Red Bulls in the third row, which will be a good start to things for them. Ethan into the pit lane. AT going down towards turn 14. He got a toe off of Grumio potentially, so that might help his case massively here. Of course, the team took a 1-2 in last week's race. Can they try and go for that again this week? We'll see what happens as AT rounds the final corner. Up towards the line here, we're looking at a solid time from AT. It'll be a 132.5 P4 on the grid.
1.3 seconds off the pace. That is a very big gap in Q3. Very big gap indeed.
And it could be domination perhaps from Grumio and the lead pack today. I say the lead pack, and it might just be Grumio and Imrie until Dayan-chan, Che and Dan catch up later on. I was so close. Yeah, I mean, I had to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see how those two recover it later on in the Grand Prix. As 10th round to the last corner to begin her flying lap. We'll see. It's been a miracle run so far to get 10th into the top 10, and we'll see if she can continue that into a higher starting spot perhaps even could be the next driver to pull off a surprise pole in Canada. PJ was the last driver to do it back in season 17, if memory serves. I feel like I bring up that pole up every time he comes to China, but it was a fantastic lap. You had to be there, Ben. I'm not sure. I think you were there. I'm not sure.
I don't believe we were. I think that was the season before I joined. I joined in Hungary. I think it was season 18.
Ah, right. You know what? That
Maybe.
sounds a lot more. That's a lot more familiar. So we'll keep on with that for now. 10th through sector 2. We'll carry back with in terms of her lap and going through turns 9 and obviously into 10. 2 corners sort of leading into one into the other. Careful to avoid those curbs. I think instead of going over them too much out to going through turns 10 when you obviously pick up the speed back up. 52.7 for 10th in the second sector. We'll see if she can improve it. But Ben will take you back down the 1.2 kilometers back straight. And obviously DRS zone in play on the run down towards turn 14 to cap the lap off.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the fact that he grew over there. Zach, much appreciated. It's DRS wide open for the RB. Heading into the right hand hairpin now. Spots the braking point spot on, no oversteer, no lock up into the hairpin, and then it's just one corner to one corner to go. It is still mucking up my words. It does actually not set that time and just aborts and enter the pit lane.
So the end of 10th lap then ends up in the pits. So no lap for her this time around. There's only 4 minutes left, so she's got to get a lap in shortly. But we'll be looking at final runs in a matter of moments here, and we'll see who's got the paces. Ethan, the only car still on track.
Indeed. Ethan could probably maybe get the top 6. I think Ethan's actually in for a bit of a story time here. Ethan could surprise the paddock.
Do you mean storybook or story time? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. sorry. I'm not trying to sort of put you down my popcorn. I just like I just like words. Right, Ethan onto his lap.
Yep, let's go. Come on, just fine. Turn 2 it's a disaster. This absolute turn 2 is just a pain when you're just trying to get on that accelerator. Tell you now, it's not nice.
Traction, no fun in a complex of corners such as that. But obviously, we've seen him manage it quite well here so far. Ethan a 10th up in his first sector, so not a bad start to the lap. We'll see if he can improve it anymore. But right now, I think a 10th improvement will put him up over HB Cook into 8th place. Spanky on HB not improving. Both Grumio and Imre are back out on circuit here, so going for final laps. Both of them on fresh tyres, and will be an exciting run for pole between the pair of them.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen between the top 2, whether the grid is either going to close or if the top 2 are just going to walk away with it in this qualifying session. At the moment of time, it's probably advantage Grumio, obviously 2.5 tenths over Imre, depending on if Imre did actually set his time on new tyres. Who knows? Maybe he's still got a bit of time to find.
Have to wait and see here, but 2 minutes to try and find it. And we're on enough time for, at this stage for everyone to get back around and start their final laps. HB Cook leaving the pits, but TJ, Pope, AT and Websy still in the pit lane. Websy emerging now. Websy in P3 is doing fantastically right now, looking for a good start on the run towards that first corner in about 10-15 minutes time. It'll be interesting to see if the Astons can recover after a tough start last week.
Yeah, it will be very interesting indeed. Ethan goes P7. We'll likely get another lap in on the board, but he's cutting it fine for time.
We'll have to see here later on. Yellow flag in the first sector. That's one of the Haas cars slowed. That's AT waiting, I think, for Webster to come around. But I think in doing that, may have pushed himself into a bit of a, for qualifying, a traffic jam. So these guys behind have to find clean air. He backs off and is letting both cars go through. So that concern should be out of the way for him.
AT's going to be giving Imre a tow. Grumio a tow, sorry.
That'll be the play, I should think. Good eye, Ben. HB Cook is still in his outlap, so, but I mean, him and Imre on separate sides of the circuit, so that could be what wins Grumio pole with a good enough lap here. Grumio improving a little bit by 400% end of the first sector. End of the second sector, he's up by just under 2, so gains made in sector 2. So you were right, Ben. There's more time to find, and obviously a tow in play. But didn't he take a tow in his first run?
Yes, he did.
How much more time is there to be found with a simple toe here? All the way down the straight. Riding on board now with Grumio as he charges towards turn 14. Big gains being made. And
Your teammate.
Almost shoving his teammate going into the corner. That could have ended quite disastrously for both cars, but it didn't, fortunately. And Grumio is now in a spot where he can set his time and have enough time to help his teammate come around and set his lap too. So Haas doing well here as Grumio comes towards the line. 130, 886. Imri, I think, has been soundly beaten by the Haas pairing as now we're up to 80 and see if Grumio can give his teammate a toe back. These two, their qualifying game is unmatched by everyone. Checker flag is out. Grumio, I think, should have pole here as Imri rounds the final corner. How much time can he gain in this last sector? It's just under 2 tenths with P2 for him.
5 tenths lift.
Soundly beaten there, Imri by Haas. Curtison's P3, fantastic lap there, 132, 187. But still almost a second gap between P2 and P3, so it's still just incredible to see. Pope down in P7, still has work to do on this final lap. Needs a better lap here to get himself a better spot on the grid. 10th Cannon still P6. AT has got his teammate in his sights, but Pope is there behind him too. Can he get a toe at all off of what is going on in front of him? Or will Grumio get in his way? It's going to be tight.
It will be very tight indeed. Cook across the line now. He does set a slightly better that time, but it's only good enough for 10th. Albeit misses out on P9, providing that TJ does not improve his lap time by only 5 thousandths of a second.
AT getting a toe all the way down through towards turn 14. Grumio having to leave the track there, I think, to avoid running into his teammate because he locked up going towards turn 14. Pope, is he getting in at all? We'll have to wait and see. The AT last corner towards the line. It'll be a 132.3 and Pope goes to third. 131.8, so big gains there. AT only enough for sixth. And Grumio, though, comes across the line and is on pole for the Chinese Grand Prix. What a lap it was from him, Ben. And a stunning pole position.
5 tenths clear of Imri. A second clear of Pope. We're looking at total domination here, like.
This could be vintage Grumio, in all honesty. But your top 10 then, from qualifying, Grumio on pole, Imri second. Those guys lead the race to the first corner. Pope in third, Curtis fourth, Websy P5, AT sixth, and it's TJ 10th, Ethan, and HP Cook rounds at your top 10. So that is qualifying. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few minutes' time. We'll start the race. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here and getting set for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, round 2 of Season 20 in the Races Driving League season. I'm your host, Zach RC. My co-commentator, Ben, is gone for a second. He'll be back shortly. And in terms of the racing prospect, it could be perhaps domination from one Salve Grumio, the reigning champion. There is your circuit, 14 corners. Grumio won this race last season in the start of his dominant run to kick off the campaign. But Ben, we could be, as you said, we could be looking at perhaps vintage Grumio. This could be complete domination in this Grand Prix.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope Imre does actually put up a bit of a fight along with the rest of the grid, of course. If Grumio just come out turn 1 and turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 alive, it's still in P1, it could be a very long ride indeed for the rest of them.
It'll be very interesting to see as to who's got the speed in this race. Obviously, as you saw, the gaps in qualifying quite large. But yeah, as I say, it should still be an exciting race. A lot of cars sort of separated by very few tenths. Just the gap to first place wasn't quite there. For those of you who are wondering why I sound a bit flaky, I'm a bit under the weather at the minute, but I'm trying to get through it just fine. So apologies if my voice sort of breaks at any point or if I sort of sound like I'm dying. But we'll move on from that, and we'll just try and have a good 28 laps here in Shanghai. Obviously, a shorter race compared to our race last week in Australia. Of course, the full length opener. 58 laps last time around Albert Park, just 28 laps around the Shanghai International Circuit. It should be a great race, and we'll have a look shortly at your starting grid when the cars form up for the formation lap and get their setups on. Here we go. Green light's about to come on. And Grumio and Imre lead the field away, but in terms of your starting grid from back to front, it's mediums and hards for everyone. 16 starters on mediums and 4 on hards. DJ's one of them. He starts dead last after missing out on Q1. Starting dead last for Aston Martin, looking for his first points of the season. Che and Dan starting P19, P18, of course, the reigning pair of Constructors champions, and looking at a stronger race potentially this time round. We'll see in terms after having their results taken from them in the Stewards Report last week. So P4 and P6 for those guys in the championship after the first race. We'll see if they can recover that. Courtney Goblin, P17 after his first point score in over a season last time out in Australia. 4 points to the board for him. Ericsson in P16 also got some of those points. He starts in the medium tyre for McLaren today. Rydog made his first Q2 appearance in the league. Starts P15 on the hard tyre along with him Lucky Lambert, the third hard tyre starter, reserve, the season 10 champion of the past, here for a reserve appearance for us. Good to see him back again. This gamer lands up P13, took the last point on offer down under last week. Medium tyres for him. JB in P12 are looking to add to Ken's points tally of 10 points from the last race. Alvar P11 managed to sneak into Q2, not so lucky going into Q3. P11 start for him. HB Cook lines up in P10, looking for Sauber's first points of the campaign, along with the front row starter Imre. Ethan P9, highest hard tyre starter for Alpine, looking for a longer first stint. 10th Cannon, 5th place finish after last week's race in the Stewards Report, and looking for more points this time around. TJ P7, looking for Red Bull's first score of the season, along with Curtis. AT P6, the Haas qualifying game unmatched by anyone in Q3, so top 6 start with both those two cars. Websy P5, crashed in last week's race, looking to try and recover things from here. No score for Aston Martin, as I said last week. Curtis P4, and with a good shout, perhaps an outside podium if something happens goes wrong with the front 3 cars. Pope, 3rd place last week, 3rd place this week. Imre in P2, crashed out of the season opener after starting from pole. Can he try and get his first points of the season? And Grumio, who ended up with a win last week at the end of the report, finishes in P1 overall after Australia, and P1 on the grid here in China, Ben. This could be a great race.
This could be, hopefully it is indeed, as Grumio is actually pointed towards the Ryan to maybe cover off Imre.
It's going to be definitely interesting to look at as the last few cars take their positions here on the back row of the grid. DJ, of course, this will be his first racing laps of the day. It'll be very interesting to see who's got the pace here as the last few cars take their positions. The lights.
Yeah, let's have a look. Go on.
So, right, here we go. Lights coming on then. Grumio and Imre on the front row for round 2 of the championship here in China for the Racers Driving League Season 20. Lights out, foot to the floor, and we are racing. So let's start from both the 2 cars in front. Imre, great start there over Grumio, clears the Haas driver, leads into the first corner. What a start there. Pope around the outside of Curtis, going through that first turn. Curtis on the inside, going towards turn 2. Everyone keeps it nice and clean behind him. No contact made anywhere on circuit, but Imre's had a dream start there. Leads over Grumio, side by side for 3rd. Pope winning out over Curtis on the inside now, leaving turn 4. Slams the door shut on the Red Bull. 18 Websy side by side, P5 behind them. Number of cars getting places. JB down the order, and JB has got damage, I believe. And has he got damage? No, that's me seeing things, but he's down dead last. But Imre leads by 2/10 to Grumio. What a start from the Sauber driver. Ben.
Imre needed that. He definitely needed that. He needed to put his foot weight battered in and out on the accelerators, of course. Leading to turn 1. He can now control the pace, control the grid, and see what Grumio has in response.
Fantastic, that's tough. Oh, cars going white in the back there. It's one of the Williams cars. That will be Che. Obviously making that charge through the order here. Che and Dan up to P15 and P16 already here. JB and Ericsson now at the bottom of the order. Ericsson falling back as JB makes the pass for the 19th position. Imrie leads by 7/10. Good start to the lap. I'd love to get a replay of that race start, but obviously my production skills aren't that great, so we got to leave it for now, unfortunately. But yeah, great start from Imrie, and needs to try and work on putting that 1 second gap. You see his teammate HB Cook in the background going for a look to the inside on Obsessed Gamer for P11 going into turn 14. Down at 1 place, maybe 2 here in this first lap. So tough start for one of the Sauber cars, as much as it's been a dream start for the other one. Obsessed clears HB Cook, who backs out of it, looking for a switch back on corner exit. Can't go do it. End of the first lap, Imrie leads from Grumio and Pope.
Yeah, just looking further down the grid as well, we're just looking for any damage. Looks like the Aston Martin is carrying in-plate damage. That in-plate is not there on the Aston Martin if DJ is... It is Courtney Goblin go around the outside of turn 1 and 2. If Courtney Goblin can pull this one off, it switches to the inside of turn 3, and he does. What a move from Courtney.
Courtney keeping his foot in it, but there goes DJ fighting right back in his first racing laps of the day here. Makes the pass once again. JB getting around with Courtney for good measure. Is close between these two. Courtney trying the outside again, and he might do another switchback potentially on JB. I saw him sneak to the inside there. Fantastic racing on the tail end of the field here as Ericsson gets a front row seat to all this chaos going on in front of him. But coming up towards that first run with DRS here, Ben, it'll be crucial for Imrie to try and hold the lead as early as he can, or if not, try and play a tactical game and try and fall back for a better run out of turn 16. DJ goes around, recovers the car.
A bit of a past Maldonado moment.
Yeah, it appears so. Right, but he's got the car moving again. I'm liking your analogies, Ben. We forgot to do predictions. That's what we forgot to do before the start of the race. Give me a name, Ben, quickly.
Grumio.
Okay, and since you've said Grumio, I'll bank on Imrie. Okay, those are predictions. Sorry, I missed that completely before we got the race underway. But memory will strike. We'll be better next week. But for now, though, Imrie holds the lead over Grumio. DRS was in play there, but not enough gain for Grumio to make a move just yet. So Imrie will hold the lead going on to lap 3 as JB and Courtney Goblin continue to fight here out of turn 14. It's all single file behind, in front of them, rather. DJ obviously a few seconds back, recovered the car, but may need to repair that damage potentially. It's coming in, yes. So first up of the day will be DJ.
Yeah, DJ also for good measure actually picked the track limits warning, along with Obsessed. So those two are already on the back foot as it stands at the moment. Just warnings. The main place to watch out for your warnings actually here are the head.
So Imrie still leading them by 8/10. He's building his lead back up again, and things looking a lot more controlled from as opposed to last week. Of course, sat on pole last week, lost a number of places in that first phase of the Grand Prix, the first stint or so, and obviously compounded it with that crash with Websy around sort of the halfway stage. But yeah, I mean, it's a better start for Imrie this week, but Grumio still is there and in striking distance in that Haas. Pope's still in 3rd place. He's got DRS to his name as well. Curtis doesn't. So Curtis, currently lugging a big train from P4 on back. He's got AT, Websy, TJ, 10th Cannon, Alvar, and Ethan for company in the top 10. Obsessed is behind those guys. HB Cook down 2 spots here. In terms of the biggest gain in terms of this race start, we're looking at the drivers getting the most spots. Those will be Che and Dan, who both gained 4 spots each here. So good starts for both cars. JB down 5 spots after that tough first lap. DJ obviously dead last now. Stuck onto medium tyres, so going a bit long. So not going as long on his second stint, I should think, as his first. I mean, I imagine anything would be longer than his first stint, in truth. But obviously, I imagine not the plan for Aston Martin. But Websy still on the points, so currently 8 points going Aston's way. But as it stands, it's this 12 points from Curtis and then 6 points from TJ, so 18 points going Red Bull's way. That'll be a big game for them in the constructors. Obviously, it's still very early days in this championship, but all points are good points. So I think you have to. Yes, that's one way of putting it, I think, if you ask me, Ben. But we'll continue on as we are. Che up to P13. For the first time, him and Dan are separated for the moment in terms of passing cars. There's a car between them, that being Lucky Lambert, Season 10 champion, and obviously long-time veteran of the league. We'll see if Dan can get around him sooner rather than later to try and keep up with Che as those two charge through the order. They're currently sitting, as it stands, 8 and 9 seconds back from the race leader, Imrie, who briefly was out of Grumio's DRS range. So keep an eye on that battle as they can continue on through turns 9 and 10. But I'm wondering, Ben, perhaps if Imrie will actually end up breaking this toe over Grumio. But regardless, it's a 2-second gap from Pope to Curtis. So the top 3, as we saw last week, are pulling away.
Yeah, so don't discount Pope out of this. Pope is still there. Pope's got an outside chance. Obviously, got a lot of EOS to play around with over Grumio, but it looks like Grumio may have a bit of a run on Imri. Not actually taking the slipstreams, maybe struggling with keeping those tyres cool, keeping the engine cool. Here goes Grumio though, into the hairpin. Does he go for it down the inside? No, he doesn't. Thinks better of it.
So he does go for it though. AT behind them, making a move to the outside into turn 14, side by side with Curtis. Bit of contact, bit of wheel banging between the two race cars, but out of turn number 13, it looks as sorry, out of turn 15, AT pulls in front narrowly, but Curtis will get DRS chunking back at him, but no battery left for the Red Bull. He must have go for it regardless, you know, towards turn 1 if he can get enough of a run. Pulls to the outside, going for the same sort of medicine as was applied to him, and through turn 1, around the outside, sweeping right-hander through towards turn 2 now. It's Curtis and AT side by side for the 4th spot. Websy in behind them, front row seat for what could be dramatic
Oh,
here.
contact.
Banging
banging.
wheels once again. Good eye, Ben, as they make their way through. Still side by side, and Curtis wins out. Good battling and clean battling between these guys. Websy looks to get involved too.
Yeah, Websy doesn't look too shabby at all. One bit. The issue actually, and as we've
got
got
around.
a yellow flag, is it lucky?
It is lucky, and he may have been tagged with
what?
Rydog perhaps. Rydog off the chain a bit. I can't see if he's got damage. But lucky, I think it does. I saw something had come off. Both end plates on Lucky's car are intact. Where is Rydog? I think he's okay as well. Not quite sure what that was.
Maybe just been a bit rubber. You know what it's like when people go off the track.
Sorry, Ben, don't cut you off. Strike that. There is damage. That is on Rydog's left end plate.
Alright, that's going to really hurt. Oh, the two hard tyres, two of the hard tyre runners have already sustained damage. That is devastating for the race. At the moment, though, we're talking about, I think Grumio actually takes the lead away from him.
For second lead change of the day, then Grumio moves in front for the first time this evening rather, as Imri may try and come back at him with DRS, but both cars have used a fair amount of batteries. Grumio breaks the toe, brings them all the way towards the dirt. Going towards turn 1, and now holds the lead, and we're up to him to try and build an advantage now as Pope stays with these guys as TJ makes the pass and Websy behind them. You saw Ethan try to challenge Alvar into turn 1. Alvar in the points paying places here. Websy now passing TJ, as I say, as they go in through turn 2. Ethan and Alvar side by side now. Alvar trying the inside, right holding the inside for that 9th spot. Ethan with a better drive off around the outside. So outside of turn 4, I think it's where you want to be if you're side by side with them in the cars. Che passes HB Cook going towards turn number 6. Does he try the hairpin? He does. Late move from Che on Alvar. Can he pull it in front on corner exit? He might be able to. It's Imri back in front of Grumio. Grumio's around.
Grumio.
We're not around. He's through the dirt.
Oh no! Yes, Grumio went slightly off the track by the looks of things. He's got the entire pack behind him now. I wonder if they made contact with Imri.
Perhaps there was. Not too sure. We didn't catch it, but that'll be one for the stewards later on. The should there did something go had something meant something that happened in that instant. But Imri now the big lead over Imri and Pope with the big lead over Grumio in 3rd place. He's got work to do now to try and hunt him back down again for the race lead, but that'll give Imri and Pope a big advantage here, as Grumio now might fall foul of the car behind. Curtis with DRS as they run down towards turn 14 again. But what a tough break for Grumio. He's 4.5 seconds back now from the 2 leaders.
Yeah, I didn't quite actually catch what had happened there. Looks like they're going for the S's, but Grumio may have just gone off the track.
Whether it was driver error, whether it was contact, not too sure. I have to keep an eye out. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time these two have made contact in the past. Although I mean, the last time those two collided in any capacity was back in season 16 of F1 23. So it's been a little while since they've I don't know, traded paint. We'll call it that. TJ into the pit lane. First medium tyre stopper here on lap 7. So short stint on his medium tyres and hards to the end here. So perhaps looking for a longer second stint, Ben. But I doubt you can take those all the way to the end. So I think we should see a second stop from TJ here at some stage.
Yeah, I think referencing to what Pope was saying earlier, I think we can expect a 2-stop race from a couple of the drivers, particularly outside the top 10. TJ is a bit of an interesting one because TJ was actually inside the top 10, so I wonder if TJ was just struggling for tyres.
We might get a sense of it if we see a few more cars come in from the medium tyre. Obviously, Ethan's run those hard tyres, let's not forget here. Of the hard tyre runners, he's the only one that hasn't had any sort of calamity hit him in his first few laps of the Grand Prix. So he's doing good. Currently sitting there in the 8th spot. Remember scored 6 points in the first race last week, and looking for a second point score to add to what could be a streak for him over the coming weeks. He's once again behind Ted Cannon. Ted Cannon doing a fantastic job maintaining a spot in the top 10. He's had a fantastic start to the campaign.
Here goes
First race of
Pope.
the bit. Pope looking for the lead.
Pope's going for a move. Oh! That could have been so close to contact. Pope down the inside. Paul to move off. Switch back for moving though. Does he get
Trying
traction? No.
No.
Maybe a self-second.
But the question is, can he now come back at Pope off the last corner towards turn 1? We've seen how deadly DRS games can be. DRS chicken, if you will. And Imri takes full advantage of that, goes siding back around the outside and into the race lead again at the first corner. Grumio, keep an eye on him. He's 3.2 behind. He's gained about a second and a half in the last lap and a bit. So keep an eye out as his teammate AT makes the pass on Curtis. But Curtis, again with a switch back into turn 1. AT washed up the circuit. Curtis took full advantage, and AT still sticking his nose in. The Haas is still fighting valiantly here for that 4th spot, but Curtis is still there, holding strong. It's dead even on corner exit, but out of the 4th turn into the 5th, Curtis pulls in front. Close quarters and great fighting in these first few laps.
Still far behind. Ethan and Dan go wheel to wheel down around the outside. Can it make the move stick?
It just carries on.
It does carry on indeed. Down around the outside, turns into the inside for turn 7, pulls off the move really well, and it's up into the top 9.
Oh, go around! 10 Cannon! 10 in the gravel!
Oh.
And I think she just took
Sorry?
someone with her. She took Che. Che's carried on,
Oh,
but
no.
there was contact. I think Che may have been wrong place, wrong time there, but 10th Cannon, I may have hit the commentator's curse button by accident. 10th Cannon down the order. No damage done on that car, but I imagine the tyre's pretty scuffed. Even with a lot of work to do in this thing. Temperature on those tyres will be quite high, I should think.
Yeah, I'm just having a look for Che, see if he's got any damage. Doesn't appear to be, unless he's got any sideboard or floor damage, of course. I want to feel more of a side-on impact than a front wing impact. But that is devastating for 10th. That. I wonder what happened. I missed it again.
I was riding on board with Dan, who was just behind them, obviously, after making that fight with Ethan, and it looks as though 10th just sort of got the entry to turn 8 wrong and found herself put a wheel on the grass, and obviously you know how it goes from there, Ben. Yeah. Well, no, that's not even a dig. That's common knowledge.
I know, don't worry.
Okay, lucky Lambert went wide there. Ride dog penalty. That's the first thing that happened just now. And 10th Cannon in the pit lane. So 3 seconds for Ride Dog, and 10th looking for a fresh set of tyres. Can she recover the race from here? Meanwhile, up front,
I wonder.
Sorry, go.
Go on. I wonder if 10th's actually going to have a front wing change.
See
No,
here.
just manage.
No, all good. Okay, right, okay. So 10th out the pit lane and hard tyres going on. I think she should be able to take those to the end. They can do 20 laps, those hard tyres, no problem. Imri's pulled a 1.3 second gap to Pope, but himself is only 1.8 in front of Grumio. So the gap is still about the same between Imri and Grumio. As there hasn't changed much in the last lap or two. But Grumio is still closing regardless. And it could be... it might not be too long before he starts challenging up front again. But keep an eye on that top 3 who've pulled away. Curtis still holding on to P4 here, doing a remarkable job in that 4th spot. But I'm praying that Ivan Curtis is second driver.
Just watching everyone's medium compound tyres now, they look absolutely shot. I just watched Ericsson go wide through the second sector, and he unfortunately lost the position to Courtney. But yeah, these mediums do not look to be holding out that well.
Oh! AT squeezing in there. But sorry, I'm not sure if you caught it. Going towards turn 14, AT really. I mean, there was a lot. There was enough space about a car's width gap between Curtis and the curb on the outside going towards the hairpin, and AT tried it. It almost worked for him, but to be fair. And speaking of working, Dan making more moves here up the inside of Websy for the 6th spot. Websy might come back at him though into turn 2. Taylor is as old as this race. As they go through turns 2 and 3, it's Dan and Websy still side by side here. These first few corners becoming a hot spot for fighting here. As off of turn 4, both cars slide, but Dan comes out in front. It's into P6 now. That charge continues.
Yeah, Dan is on a roll.
That's a good way of putting it. Ericsson in the pit lane. Change made. Hard tyres going onto that car. Che making a pass now on HP Cook, so Che back in the points after that collision, but only for a second. As you see, HP Cook trying to make a move on the outside.
Still go for it. Look at Cook.
He's still going for it. Look at him go.
Unfortunately, has to bail out due to the nature of the circuit, but he kept the fight going.
Great stuff there. Good move from HP Cook to try and make that pass work still. Try and keep his position keep Che at bay. Couldn't quite do it, but we'll get a
inside
second
DRS.
chance here with DRS this time round. But Che gets it off Alvar too. So, I mean, Alvar sort of leads another train here. It's from P4 to P8 and then from P9 on back. You're looking until obviously the cars that have sort of made stops already.
Yep, just looking at Groomers lap times now, they are massively quicker. Nobody
Che,
else lagging out.
Che and Lucky. Lucky spun out.
Oh no. Can't get any worse than this, can it? It can.
Well, let's hope not for Lucky Lambert as he gets the car running again. No damage done, but good. But I love the reference. I'm hoping that a fair few of the guys who are watching us right now, a fair few of the viewers watching us at home, got a good laugh at the reference from Ben, who continues to provide the entertainment for us at this stage of the Grand Prix. Well, my voice box might be dying, but it's good to know that your creativity hasn't, Ben. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, Groomers on the inside. Groomers taking tons of time out of both Imrie and Pope during those last couple of laps, and he's only 1.8 behind the leader.
Chunks of time, as you say, Ben, being taken out of both cars. One car down, one to go here, and we're not even halfway through the Grand Prix yet. So Imrie obviously seems to be able to keep pace with Grumio in the first few laps. But we'll see how these guys have managed their tyres and how the race evolves from here. As two drivers who are very different in terms of driving style. That's something to keep an eye out for over the course of the Grand Prix. Obviously, different in terms as well of ERS management. That was something to keep an eye out for too. But 17 laps to go, anyone's game.
Anyone's game indeed. As Groomer has actually taken 5/10 out of Imrie alone on this lap.
Big gains made, and it'll be DRS likely next time round if he continues on that same rate in a lap's time. But Pope behind him and may try and get himself back involved too if he can try and get himself dragged along by Grumio, keep that slipstream running. And all of a sudden we've got three cars contending for the race lead again. As Dan are passing Curtis now into fourth place. Dan's got work to do and could use the safety cars. Imrie pits. So first change for the leaders. Imrie comes in from P1. Dan now in P4. About 10 seconds or so back from the two leaders in front. But it's going to be interesting now as Grumio leads once again for the first time in about 5 or 6 laps. Imrie in the pits though.
I wonder when Imrie's going to come out actually. Imrie may end up coming out in traffic.
It'll be interesting here. Double stack from the two Saubers. HP Cook obviously quite a fair way back as Imrie emerges back towards turn 1. So they emerge into a bit of air, which is good for him, I think.
Yeah, I see. I had a big of a lag spike to be fair, but he's got a massive train ahead of him.
So we're hoping then that tyre strategy works out for him in the sense that he can try and get around, he can avoid having to fight them. He'll run at his normal pace and hopefully they'll pit at some stage. I mean, I can't imagine it being too long until pit stops come into play. Majority of cars in front of him are on medium tyres. Well, actually, he's the first car to have stopped. So everyone in front of him, bar Rydog and bar Ethan, will likely stop in the next few laps or so. And those guys can go a bit longer should they want to. Rydog with that penalty, keep an eye on him for that as well. And still carrying that front wing damage. So it could be in Imrie's or Obsessed way in a matter of laps or so. But Grumio leads by a second and a half now to Pope. So big gains being made by the reigning champion.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I just caught it in the pit lane. I don't know if we actually picked up on it on stream here, Zach, but looks like JB had a front wing change.
Ah, okay, so he's down to 19 now.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch what had happened, but I'm guessing he got damaged in the last couple of laps and it's fairly to the point where he's had to box.
So a change they made for JB, which to mine is his second of the Grand Prix. No, it's his first of the Grand Prix, so perhaps it was routine. But yeah, wing change, obviously not ideal, I think, for anyone, regardless of the situation of the race you're in. Curtis is in, and that'll open things up for that train he was lugging along for the majority of that the first stint. We'll see whereabouts he emerges compared to everyone else. Where is Imrie right now? Imrie is going up towards turn 1 now. He's managed to get around Obsessed. He's now got Rydog in front of him. Rydog, of course, with damage. He want to try and pass Rydog in one of the short straights to avoid having to wait for DRS later on.
May actually have run it into turn 6, believe it or not.
He might actually, know. That's a good point. He's getting a lot more than I thought he would. Imrie on fresh hard.
He's going for it around the outside.
Big lock up there from Rydog. Contact.
Imrie just turned in a tad too early, I think, but escaped unscathed, no damage done to the Kickstarter or the Ferrari. Puts off the Ferrari a slight bit, but that's why you've kind of got to go racing as you go for the midfield.
Yeah, but I think not ideal for either driver there. But Imrie fortunately gets away unscathed, as does Rydog. Rydog obviously still has that wing damage to think about, but we'll continue on as we are. and Imri will start chasing in terms of the cars up front. Next car from is Alvar, and it's 17.6 seconds
Oh dear.
to the lead. So I think Imri's just going to emerge with the lead, but Grumio will be on fresher, hard tyres, I think. Che passes AT. Move made again.
Yeah, Che, Dan, Imri are currently all flying at this moment. Notably, obviously, Imri, because he's on the fresher tyres, as Pope Patrick comes into the box.
So Pope making a change. And Grumio, the last car, the top 3 to stay out. We'll see what Grumio has in his locker in terms of whether he's going to try and split the 2 stints or go longer on these medium tyres and go soft at the end. You never know. But Imri fights his laps. The hard tyres clearly doing something. And there is Pope leaving his pit box now as Imri heads through towards turn 2. So big gain here made for Imri, pitting earlier. The undercut has paid off for him. And now we see he currently sits 15.8 seconds behind Grumio. So big gains being made here. It'll be up to Grumio to try and fight back later on this race. We're still thinking 1 stop for the majority of cars here. I think definitely from here on out for the guys who haven't pitted yet. I think the 2 stops are out the window. You want to have pitted a bit earlier than that if you were going for it. But in terms of the 4 cars who have stayed, or sorry, 5 cars who are still on circuit, Lucky, Rydog, Che, Dan and Grumio, which is a top 3 we're a bit more used to based off of last week. As we are now towards halfway in the Grand Prix when Grumio crosses the line. But it will be big to see where he emerges compared to Imri and whether he can try and track him down in the second half of the race.
Yeah, I'm just looking for those who have actually lost out. But Ethan obviously has gone from hard to medium, so maybe a bit of a stretch for Ethan to take his mediums to the end of the race. Just looking at, well, AT has lost a bit of time in the pits as well. He's lost out to Webster, Ethan, and of course he will be on Pope. Rydog picks up his second penalty of the evening, and it looks like we may actually have a change for P12 here, Zach.
Change to P12.
It's going to be pits.
Grumio into the pit lane, yes indeed. And looking for, we'll see where that's he emerges. Imri is going down the main straight now, so big gains for Imri. Hard tyres on for Grumio. The question now being, can he hunt him back down again? We'll see what the gap is when they get towards, when Grumio leaves the pit lane, but he may emerge actually behind Rydog here. He is going to emerge behind Rydog and may come up behind TJ perhaps.
It's a Red Bull.
No, it's close, but it's very tight. And Pope but is stuck behind TJ though. And the gap between Imri and Grumio about 9 seconds.
That is a big gap considering Imri only pit about 3 laps ago. 4 laps. He's on 4 laps old tyres. That is a big gap.
Pope makes a pass and TJ there for the 6th spot. Sorry,
yeah, it's just that. It's just sailed around the outside of him. No defense at all from DJ. But that's a critical move that Pope actually needed. Grumio on Rydog now through the twisted tight corners at sector 2, and he actually pulled off the move.
Do you know what? I watched that, and honestly, I feel it going wrong so much. So, I mean, so good on Grumio for pulling it off, and he's now got to catch Imri over the course of the second half of the Grand Prix. He's got 8.8 seconds to close down. Can he do it? He's been the fastest car on track all night, both in qualifying and in the race. So this should be a breeze for him, but we'll see if Imri gets held up too much fighting with Che and Dan. How long do they go before they pit? Because he's caught them now, and he won't want to get held up behind them for too long to avoid Grumio closing in as much as he will.
Yep, Dan's into the box, and so is Che.
Okay, he's clean out Imri then.
That actually helped out Imri as well, because Imri does actually retain DRS. So it made it pull a bit more of a gap on Grumio.
Pope passing Rydog as well into the 3rd spot as Rydog comes in for, I should think he's one of the last cars to pit. Only Lucky Lambert has now not pitted in this race. I should think it will probably come in a few laps or so. But Grumio now back into 2nd place. And now the chase begins. 9.3 seconds is the gap for Grumio to try and chase down Pope in 3rd and looking for a podium finish. TJ there in 4th, also hunting a podium for Red Bull. It'll be big for them. Ethan holding up a train of Curtis and Websy behind him. AT and Dan side by side, and Che and P10 just in front of HB Cook. So it would be an exciting chase from here to flag. And 10th Cannon back into P12 again. Only 2 seconds or so off of points. So the evening's turned back around for her again. We'll see if she can get some points out of this.
Yeah, good recovery so far from 10th. Obviously, there's still another 13 laps left to go, so God knows where 10th could finish, but that's a really good recovery so far.
So 18 now being chased by Dan, of course. These two, one of them taken off the podium from last week after winning the first race on track, and the other one placed onto the podium alongside his teammate Grumio. So these two have had differing fortunes, let's call it, from the first round. And Che behind these guys finished in 4th in the end after the stewards reports. Actually managed to come out in front of his old teammate Dan, who ended up with P6, as I say. And we'll see here as these guys all... Go on, sorry.
Go on. The 14 Wednesday through turn 12 into 13, and then obviously down the majorly long straight. Had a bit of a snap, so that's cost him dear.
I'm going to ask you this. Were you trying to avoid saying 1.2 kilometers back straight?
Yes.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just had a feeling there. Grumio fastest lap.
Look at AT.
Oh.
AT's been swamped.
Che on the outside there. What a move it was. I mean, he went wild on corner exits, so it could have been a bit tighter. But we are essentially just glorified critics at the end of the day. Che into turn 1. So now holds P9 and now finds himself once again behind Dan. It's sort of, I'm getting deja vu to last week. Just different circuit and different parts of the pack.
Yeah, certainly.
Right, so TJ still leading Ethan and Curtis. Actually, Ethan is actually 1.5 behind 1.4. He's on those fresher medium tyres, but whether they can go to the end or not without Ethan running into late concerns, I'm not sure, because obviously tired quite heavy on a circuit like this one, where the tyres being constantly pushed to the limit around these very long sweeping corners.
Yeah, I think Imri may want to look a bit of tyre saving now, just to make sure those tyres do get to the end. He had to push it quite hard for the first few laps, just to build that gap. 8.3, but he probably needs to just help that down. Keep those tyres under control, because they'll be screaming out for help towards the end of the race.
8.1 now the gap from Imri to Grumio. So Grumio is getting a little bit. At the rate he's going, I think he likely may catch Imri before the end of the Grand Prix. But obviously, as we've said, I mean, I know it's not wet conditions. I know it's not wet conditions, Ben, as we've said in the past. But it's one thing to catch up. It's quite another to overtake, and we've seen that many times over the course of the first two races we've done together. As Curtis makes the pass on Ethan going into turn 5. So Curtis, for him, overtaking is not a concern. As Grumio again fastest lap, 1:35.5 for Grumio. Imri's best lap is a 1:35.8. So big gains being made there, and Grumio now just 8 seconds behind. Yellow flags out, and that is TJ. TJ's gone around. No, TJ's pitting. Sorry, that is JB.
JB?
Yep, JB. Yes, TJ pitted. That's on me.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, TJ pitted. Actually, if there were gravel there, TJ would have done Lewis Hamilton back in 2007.
I think truthfully, that's probably why they got rid of the gravel.
Yes. Good idea as well, because otherwise TJ would have been out of the race.
Yeah, maybe not. It might have just been a bit more of a troubled entry to the pit lane and likely perhaps a speeding penalty. So times have changed, fortunately, and almost 20 years on, I think we drivers who enjoy seeing Lewis Hamilton do well can breathe a sigh of relief.
Absolutely.
And back to the virtual stuff. There's still 10 laps to go in this race when Imri next crosses the line, but Grumio hasn't gained as much this time around. He's still 7.7 behind. So, unless you're going to see big gains here on this back straight, it's only been about a quarter of a second gain, and at that rate, he shouldn't catch Imri. But long way to go. Plenty of that can still happen, and things that have happened from this spot in the past. So it's going to be interesting as Ethan winds up and closing in behind Curtis. DRS in play for that car as well. Can he try and drag that train along with him? It goes down to P9 in the order. Dan and Che both in that train as well. Che making a move on Dan, who lifts and lets Che go. At least it looked like that. That's the case. Dan was practically standing still. But DRS being played now. Will they do it again? Will they swap back after turn 16? I doubt it. They're on separate teams now. They don't have to play favourites with each other anymore. So that's the spots for now. As Che goes fastest laps. So 1:35.2. Big gains there being made from those guys. They try and fight towards potentially both a top 5 finish.
Yeah, Che went, right then, I set 2 purple sectors, you let me past.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, that's one way to make a statement.
Looking at Grumio now, Grumio is closing quite a bit.
7.5 the gap here, which is over that 9.5 laps to go. Of course, Ben, we made our predictions in the opening laps to this race. Obviously a bit late on that, but you said Grumio, and I went the other way and said Imri, because those two have been the fastest cars on track the entire evening here. And right now, it's looking good for me right now to try and go 1-0 in our little competition here. But I'm not counting much of it just yet, because Grumio, you can never count him out at this stage of a Grand Prix. We'll see how much he closes in the next few laps to get a sense of exactly how hard he's pushing, how much time he's getting naturally. He's now 7.3 seconds back. It's going to be very insane going towards the end to see how much Grumio can close in.
Straight down the inside of Ethan. very close contact. A bit of an awkward place to make an overtake from Che, but unsettled the Alpine somewhat inspired to down the back straight.
Che now to his inside, the inside of Ethan, going down towards turn 14 and making the DRS stick as well. Better exit, and Dan going for it too. Double whammy then on Ethan, and both Che and Dan make moves.
Yeah, Che actually ended up nearly running into the back of the Aston Martin. That was very close indeed.
Close quarters racing here as he head towards the closing stage of this Chinese Grand Prix. AT making the pass. Ethan pits here, so second stop in play for the Alpine driver, and will likely go on another set of mediums, or perhaps a set of softs to the end. So we'll see now what Ethan's game plan is, but likely it'll be a tough ask to get him back in the points at this stage, I should think. Given it'll be quite far off of 10th Cannon, who now finds herself back in the points again, but can her hard tyres run to the flag with Alba right behind? It's going to be close.
Very close indeed. 10th is caught up in a bit of a three-car train because you can start to go with Cook leading the way. There's a bit of another one as well from Curtis downwards.
Alba challenging, but locks
we've
up.
got a couple of DRS trains here and there helping out with it, overtaking. Who knows if we could end up getting a safety car.
You never know if things do get a bit too close for comfort between anyone on the circuit, but everyone's kept it nice and clean in terms of instances that will warrant a safety car, so we'll keep on for now. Grumio now 6.7 behind Imri, so the gap is going down a little bit here. So me as the driver, as the man who picked Imri to win, I'm getting a little bit nervous if I'm being entirely honest. Ben, you got a good chance to go 1-0 up, I think here, because I think Grumio truthfully does better as the hunter rather than the hunted.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one as well. Over the past 7 or 8 races I've done in commentary, I think we've started to establish that Grumio is better over longer runs for than him.
Dan and Websy side by side for the 6th spot going towards turn 16. Neither car's backing
top.
out of it. Both cars keep it clean there. Oh, Dan sliding there. I thought for a second he was going to wipe out Websy by accident, but it didn't happen that way. And Dan went back in to get a tow off the Aston Martin, and into turn 1 clears the Aston Martin. Moved down to P6, Websy to P7. As in front of them, Che's made the pass down Curtis for P4.
And actually makes their second stop of the evening. So 10th is essentially following what Ethan was doing. Let's see if it pays off.
Ethan's past 10th already going towards turn 1. This could put 10th down. Hard tyres going on, so a short stint on the hard tyre. We'll see how much she gains from that, but it's going to be quite tight to see if she can do anything about it later on. Ethan at the minute is 20 seconds about 10 seconds back or so from Alvar in P10, so there's a big gap to try and gain back in the last few laps as Rydog still there in P13 and being challenged by Ethan on those medium tyres into turn number 6. And the lock up from the Ferrari driver. I think turn 6 has not been his friend tonight. Ethan makes the pass, P13 for him, and work begins. He's currently about 8 seconds or so off of Alvar, as DJ gets 10-second penalty for speed in the pits. Not been his night so far.
No, absolutely not. It's been a bit of a disaster for DJ. I wonder if that practice beforehand, or that he didn't get any practice beforehand, to really kind of hurt DJ. Wedge is doing well though, up in P7, so it's going to get at least 6 points, I think, for the Aston Martin F1 team.
And Dan making a pass here for P5 and showing Mercedes will get another 10 for their tally. That'll be, it'll be 19 points. Sorry, no, 19 points for them for the season. Should Dan finish where he is, but can he try and run down Che in these closing laps? Might be a big ask. Che is about a second and a half in front, so Dan's going to need to mega in these last few laps to give himself a good chance. In terms of the gap up front, it's 5.7 the gap now between Grumio and Imri, so it's going to be close still. And Grumio has got a blue flag on his way in DJ. We're down to whether he catches him at an inconvenient time on the circuit that could play into Imri's hands. But if you're Imri at this stage of the race, you've got to be sort of counting down almost as Lando Norris was yesterday. Just sort of counting down the laps and try not to think about the prospect of what's going on, as DJ goes way wide there, leaving turn number 10. But yeah, Imri counting those laps down and just hoping that Grumio doesn't catch him in time.
Yeah. I don't want to love you as that, but Imri's currently in the mid 36s and Grumio is in the 35s, just dipping into the low 36s now.
Okay, so that's something to keep an eye out for. Thank you for the update on that, Ben. And we'll see here whether Grumio perhaps starts to push those hard tyres a bit more to try and get a bit more performance towards the end of the Grand Prix. Imri is mainly to start saving some battery as well, in case Grumio does catch him for a late race charge. it'll be interesting to see how these two stack up against each other for the first time they're going mano a mano in quite a while. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top with 6 laps to go.
6 laps to go, gap's currently 5.2. If we're talking about it, I think Grumio needs to gain a second lap, which is a big ask. But it's Grumio at the end of the day, he's a 10-time world champion. Expect the unexpected from the Haas driver.
It'll be, I think Grumio will be looking for it, crucially, to try and make it a perfect start to his season. Yellow flagged, and that is 10th, no, that's JB.
JB round again.
Has found it for the 3rd time here, leaving turn 10. I think just down to, again, to the... I mean, China's a tough track as is, but I mean, when you're learning the setup as JB is, then it makes it even tougher. But we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see how if he can recover things and try to get stuff moving again. Does he need to stop again? He has got damage, so we'll see him pit again. I'm not too sure.
I think he will. I think JB will come into the pits at the end of his lap. If I'm being totally honest, I don't know how he's going to be able to sit them tyres to the end. He's on 10 lap pole tyres and had front wing damage, so it's going to be a bit of a push, I won't lie.
Lock up from Imri going into turn 11, so keep an eye out for that. Grumio is still 5 seconds back, so as it stands, yeah, needs to gain about a second a lap in order to win this thing, or to have a chance of winning this thing. If Imri can, I think Imri can get to the last lap and have Grumio not in DRS range, then he should be hopefully be okay from there.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, it looks like Imri's starting to respond a bit. Maybe Grumio's had a bit of a bad lap up until now. Imri last lap with a 36.8.
36.7 this
Grumio
time.
last lap into the 37th, right? Okay, tyres are falling off for them for Imri. Last lap for Grumio was a 36.4.
I'm counting 1.3 second gain. A yellow flag as around goes. DJ goes off. He's kept the car running, kept it going straight, but Grumio now goes through. So nothing separating the two cars now.
That's it. Down to the wire.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a bit of a fight down here for P15 and P16. Sorry, 16th and 17th, Ericsson and Lucky Lambert.
We'll see how this one
Don't
stacks
forget
up here. Ericsson goes for a DRS in play. Connie Goblin behind those two cars. No DRS for him, I don't think. No, he's got DRS. He might close in and try and join these guys if he can here. Into turn 14, Ericsson makes the pass. Call it your like, but obviously has that 3-second penalty to think about as well. Let's not forget that. So it'll be crucial for him to try and pull away from Lucky in these closing laps to get himself a P16 finished outright.
Yeah, just looking at the moment, the gap how in front has gone back up to 5 seconds. Keeps hovering about 4.85 seconds lap time or so. When was the last time Imri actually won a race here, Zach?
Okay, right. I've been trying not to mention this because I feel like I always do at some point and then something happens to Imri. So if something happens, it's your fault for me, Ben. But we're looking at season 16 Hungary, the last time Imri took victory in a Grand Prix, back on F1 23. So it's been quite a while here. I'm sure he's got that moment in his mind as he counts down the laps here. 4 laps to go. He's 4.7 clear of Grumio. So Grumio needs to get over a second a lap to stand a chance at winning this thing. But it is still Grumio, so we'll wait and see. But Imri, I'm sure, is probably letting his mind wander a little bit as to what might happen and the elation that will come to him if he wins. And he's promised me that he'll do an interview with me when he wins the race. So when it wins a race. So he's been waiting for this for a while, and I've been waiting for a bit too. As Che makes the pass on Dan, we'll stop talking about Imri for a second, and we'll focus on what's going behind him. Che makes the pass. Both him and Dan, fantastic recoveries in this Grand Prix.
Without a doubt, 100%. Great drive from a pair of them. Really helped each other out with the DRS. Definitely not being sat behind cars too long, not being sat in dirty air. Not far up the road is that car, I believe it is. I think it's JB.
That is indeed JB, yes. Running tail under the pack now. So it's obviously been a tough Grand Prix for him, but hopefully we'll see him recover for the race in Japan next week. We'll get a sense as to, pace-wise, what he's got in his locker. But we are nearing those closing laps now.
Keep an eye on Pope. Yeah, keep an eye on Pope and Che. The gap's coming down a bit. Was 5.5, now 4.9.
Che pushing his teammate perhaps for a podium finish. Behind them, Curtis has got a rearview mirror full of Websy. Those two still scrapping over P6. AT by himself, Alvar by himself. HB Cook a bit close behind Alvar. But right now, though, 4.6 the gap. So Grumio's not getting much here. Lock up from Imri into turn number 14, but It's getting closer and closer here. Sorry, that was lock up from Grumio, apologies, into 14. But Imri is 6 laps from victory, and Grumio's got some serious work to do. I think he's running low on fuel. The yellow light is on for fuel, and that could be a concern for Grumio. He tries to keep himself rolling towards the end of the Grand Prix. Imri may need to just keep this thing calm, and he may have this one won.
Who knows? Anything can happen in the world of Formula 1.
And it usually does, as Dan makes the pass on Che into turn 1 again. These two going back and forth, back and forth. But in that, might be denying themselves a chance to try and take on Pope. But there's 3 laps to go. I doubt they can close 4 seconds. If Grumio can't do it to Imri, I doubt that Dan can do it to Pope. In all seriousness. I mean, as I said last week, I mean, Grumio is a fantastic driver, but he's not Jesus. So we'll see how much it means. He's been closing. He's done a good job of closing the gap, but it's not been enough for him. But we have to think back, obviously, later to that spin for Grumio earlier in the race. We're not sure if that was contacted, whether that was a driver error. So keep an eye out. The stewards room could change things. We'll keep an eye out to see if Grumio keeps himself within 5 seconds. That could be it for him. But Imri, for now, from what we know, is on course for the win here with 2.5 laps to go. As Lucky Lambert gets a penalty back there in P17.
Yeah, just looking at the gaps at the moment, so it's 4.1 to Dan, from Pope to Dan, and then Che's not too far behind, 6 seconds from Curtis, and then it's only 4 tenths between Curtis and Wednesday, so this could change around for the next couple of laps or so.
I see both cars are building a battery here. I think both of them waiting for the final lap to make any sort of attempt on each other for position. But Curtis, I think, will be the one in the tough spot here because he'll have battery, but Webbsy will have DRS to go with it as well. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with these guys on the run down towards turn 14, the last lap in 2 laps time. Imri up front, 2 laps to go, leading the way. JB penalty, tough day for JB. Soft tyres on that car, same for Cottony. Imri through turn number 3 and through 4. Grumio 3.9 behind. The race isn't over yet, but keep an eye out.
It's not over until it's over. It's not over until the checker flag falls. 3.8 should be fine from there.
I mean, you say that, but you never know. We could see a late puncture or something. For Imri, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't put it past him for something to happen. I'm being told here that it looks as though Grumio went off himself. So, or at least by PJ in the chat who's joined us later on. Good to see you, PJ. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you back next week in Japan. But we'll have to leave it to the stewards as to what they see, because obviously we don't know yet. So I'll have to ask him. I'll ask him what happened. Likely, should things go to plan in the next lap in a bit, as we continue on further back. It's still a train here being led by HP Cook for the last point. Obsessed and Ethan in behind him. Ethan's charge for that last point could still come to fruition. We'll keep an eye on that fight as well, as HP Cook is a bit wide there, leaving turn number 6. Obsessed behind him with a penalty. Ethan clean on medium tyres. There's still a bit of life in them compared to the 2 cars on hards. So it's looking good for Ethan to make a late play for that last point on offer. But up front, he's coming through turn number 15 now. Grumio still slow here compared to Imri, and he's 1 lap now from that long-awaited victory that's plagued him for so long. The amount of near misses he's had, he's 1 lap away from banishing those ghosts and becoming an RDL race winner once again.
Don't want to alarm you, Zach, but Imri and Grumio are both on 2 warnings.
You say that, but Imri right now is still 3.3 in front, so as it stands, he'd win by a few tenths should he get a penalty. But I think at this point, he knows that he's got enough for gap to stave off Grumio without making any major mistakes. He's just got to keep the car on the track, keep from going wide or going wrong anywhere, and just bring it in to bring home the win at this point. As Obsessed has passed HP Cook, but Ethan may still try and fight both those cars on the last lap. Let's keep an eye out here. This could be a monumental lap for Ethan in behind as well. Keep an eye on that fight in the race for P10. But up front, though, it is all Imri out now. 3.1 to the good. And as you say, Ben, keep an eye on that. And I know you don't want to alarm me, but I'm a little bit concerned because Grumio is now within there. Yellow flag. That's a car slowly. That is JB backing off. So keep everything stays green for now. Grumio now within 2.8, 2.7 seconds. Closing in, but running out of fuel here. Yellow flag again. That's a car slow on the main straight. That's one of the Ferraris. That is Ride Dog with a problem, but keeps the car going. But here he comes now, out of turn 13 for the last time. And it looks as though, Ben, Imri is going to win this race.
Congratulations if he does. It's been a long time coming. He's weaving down the back straight, but he's still got another couple of corners to go here.
He's got to keep things nice and calm entering turn 16. The last corner is the danger point on this track. So to keep it in the white lines, and that should be enough for him. Final corner. Imri's waited for this for 3 seasons. It's been a long time coming, but he rounds turn 16 and sees the checker flag. Imri wins it. He takes the checker flag here in China. Grumio home out of fuel. A Valley in second place. Pope home in third place. A second podium for him to start the season. DJ 10-second unserved penalty. Worry about that later on. Che narrowly beats Dan. Websy and Curtis side by side for 6th place as they go up towards the last corner. Websy gonna win out there. Curtis might get him on the line, you know. It's close. Half a car within it, but Websy held on. 18th place and Alvar 9th. Ethan challenging HB Cook. Obsessed in P10. And Ethan may still pass him. Obsessed has the penalty, remember? Ethan backs out of it. And that should be P10 for Ethan. Yes, it is.
What a result for him.
I'm losing my throat at long last. It's finally going. I've managed to do the whole race here. Praise for me as well. Leave. Give me a bit of praise as well.
Credit to Zach for
Rydog has no wing. I'm not. Okay. I mean, he's carrying on.
You smashed the car down the. What's Rydog done?
I'm not entirely sure, but Ericsson crossed the line. Rydog there, P16. Lucky Cotney yet to cross the line, but Imri at long last gets that win on the board. Ben, you're gonna need to speak because I'm dying over here.
What a result for him, he fully deserves it over the amount of bad luck that boy's had. But as we look further down, obviously Grimmer in second. We're still not quite sure what actually happened, whether he went off track himself or as we heard. Double third and fourth for Williams. That's really good for them in the constructors. Dan ends up recovering up to 5th. Che, I believe, ends up finishing 4th. When I get through podium ceremony, we'll be able to start here. The last part of the top 10.
Yeah.
Still loading.
What a race. I mean, you know what?
It's not.
And also, that is 1-0 to me, Ben, in terms of predictions.
The first time in a while, maybe since Australia actually got prediction wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Imri, of course, crashed out last week. Contact with Websy in the mid-stage of the Grand Prix, but has recovered himself quite nicely today. 25 points on the board for Imri for the first time in quite a while. Fantastic Grand Prix. And that long-awaited victory is his at last. And we'll get to talk to him, I should think, in a matter of moments. We'll be back shortly. We'll have a look at the results for you. Imri wins the race from Grumio and Pope in your podium. Che 4th, and Dan in 5th. Then it's Websy, Curtis, AT, Alvar, Ethan, your top 10. HB Cook, TJ, Obsessed, 10th Cannon, 14th. Ericsson, Rydog and Lucky Lambert. Connie, JB and DJ. Everyone finished the race today. Fantastic stuff. And we'll be back shortly for post-race interviews. Ben, give us your thoughts on the race while we'll go get things all set up.
It's not over until it's over in RDL. We saw that with, I think it was, may have been the Alpine, no, in fact, Curtis, actually. And it was side by side with AT, I think they were. And it was just 500s between them. So it's not over until it's over in the RDL. Fair play, Henry. Well done.
What a race.
What a result. What an undercut that you pulled. 9 seconds over Grumio. Where did you pull that pace from?
I felt so sick last 3 laps.
I think it was still a bit. I won't lie. But now you can go get the champagne ready.
Got it ready. I've had it ready for about 2 years.
What a result. Fair play, well done. Fully deserved over look. Took lead in turn 1 as well, so it's not like you came back through the undercut, you actually took lead into turn 1, so
Right.
Yeah, I got a good start.
Hello, everybody. Apologies, boys. I'm sorry, but it appears that I don't know what you guys said while I was gone, but it appears I did not mute you, so hopefully you said nothing to get me cancelled. But yes, we are here. Right. Interviews about to get underway, and at long last, we've waited a little while for this, but at last, Imri is here. Victor for the first time since back in season 16. Imri, congratulations, you're once again an RDL race winner. Is the emotion there?
Definitely.
Well,
been a long time.
Long time coming. We'll give it that. I mean, obviously that. Oh, well, I think what I can't speak. The thing that won the race for you, I think I've got to say, is is that phase between the pit stops where obviously you put on a blinder a couple of laps on those hard tires. How much were those hards dying towards the end of the Grand Prix?
Wow, front left hit 70 last lap, so pretty dead.
Pretty dead. That's one way of putting it. I mean, talk me through the race as a whole. I mean, obviously there was a moment early on in the Grand Prix where Grumio obviously had his moment. Was there contact there? Or was that him? Was that a driver error? Because we didn't see it.
Yeah, driver error. Nearly hit him, to be fair.
Can you talk us through what you saw from your end?
Yeah, the long left-hander just tagged the curb and went round, and then I just swooped past.
Very similar to what happened. Well, I believe how happened to 10th at some point during the Grand Prix as well. But yeah, I mean, race winner at last. Does this make up for Australia last week?
Definitely. What a way to get round from last week as well.
Well, I mean, obviously, Grumio was closing in those last couple of laps. Were you sort of saving tyres in that point where he was catching you? Because you were about 9 seconds in front, and you got down to about 4 before you started to sort of stabilise the gap a bit. So were you saving tyres for a long part of that stint?
Yeah, front left were the problem. I was saving into turn 1, like mega at the end.
I mean, you managed to make it stick, and at long last, you're our winner once again. And I will ask you this: is this going to be the last time we see you in here this season?
Oh, possibly. Oh no, I'm hoping to be up here again.
And now that you've broken a duck and won the race, does that mean you're coming for interviews more often and not just when you win?
Yeah, I'll be here when I can.
Sounds good. That's all I can ask for. Right, so that was your winner then. Imrie takes victory, and we'll come now to Pope, who finished in 3rd place in the end. Pope, relatively quiet second half of the Grand Prix for you, for the most part. I mean, talk me through your race.
Yeah, pretty boring on my end in terms of like actual fighting. I wasn't comfortable at all with the setup, and yeah, I think that probably showed my pace. It was quite below par, but 5 podiums in a row, I can't complain.
So more good points then for the Drivers' Championship, puts you on 30 for the time being. So good start for you and Che Williams. Obviously, Che recovered back to P4, only finished about 2 seconds behind you in the end. So props to your teammate as well.
Yeah, obviously props to a lot of drivers today. I mean, Che and Dan coming through the field, Grumio for recovering, and obviously Imrie for winning.
Definitely an exciting race all around for the majority of drivers. Went for the 1 stop in the end. And a few drivers who went for the 2, and it worked out for Ethan last second. He managed to get himself a point on the board. So I think the right strategy call was made from your end in terms of tyres.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just didn't feel comfortable at all around this track, and I never do. So it's the tyres just felt shocking, but I feel like I got the best result possible with the 1 stop.
And of course, Japan next week. Is that a circuit we're looking forward to?
Oh yeah, that's like yeah, it's just a lovely. This next part of the calendar from Japan onwards is as I always say every season, it's my favourite part of the calendar. So hopefully we can continue the podiums coming. That'll be nice, and maybe sprinkle a few wins in there because I feel like there is pace this season to do that.
It's around sort of from here to about Spain, Canada sort of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean Austria as well. Recently, I've had some wicked races there. Oh no, Austria's not racing this season.
It's at the end.
So to Silverstone, which is still pretty good, and Spa, like it does last quite a long time. This period, the European aspect of the calendar, after obviously Japan. But yeah, I'm excited.
We'll wait and see as to as how that stacks up for you this time around. We'll come now to Daniel Aaron, who comes home in the 5th spot at the end. Dan, fantastic recovery from both you and Che over the course of the race. Talk me through the sort of charge through the field there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I want to work on in terms of my sort of racing. You know, I made 2 silly mistakes last week that ended up costing me a race win, so I need to cut those out. And I said to JB before the season started that don't expect me to consistently like qualify. I want to race people, and you know, today was actually quite fun coming through the field, and I put an overtake on people that I don't usually race. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun, and you know, I think I'll probably see me do that a little bit more this season.
This was a voluntary choice, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because I forgot if you got a quality ban or whatever, but I didn't think you would have done after the last week. I mean, obviously gutting. I'd say probably a bit gutting last week to have had the report not go your way in the end. But is that something? Is that deficit something you can make back up?
It's not something I'm concerned about making back up.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And in terms of a more short term vision, in terms of just Japan next week, what's the game plan there? Is there a chance of winning on the cards, perhaps, or are we not too concerned about that?
I'll probably qualify around Japan. It's a track that I really enjoy, so one lap pace is also something that I do need to work on, and I'll start doing that around the tracks that I know I like or go somewhat well at. Yeah, Japan and Monaco and maybe Britain, a few coming up in the next 10 races that I actually quite like and want to work on. So yeah, plenty of things for me to work on.
And we look forward to seeing how the fruits of your labour turn out. So obviously, good job on the recovery today, P5 in the end. We'll come now to Curtis Shepherd, who comes home in P7 at the flag. Curtis, fantastic job from you done all day today, mate. Obviously, P4 qualifying and first point of the season for Red Bull. So good drive for you there. Well done.
Yeah, qualifying was a bit of a shocker, but then I don't think anyone felt good in their setup today. I just felt fourth least bad. Obviously, I think with Daniel and Che not fancying qualifying because they're bored, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth. That makes me feel great. I probably would have been P6, and probably the result wouldn't be any different at the end of the race.
I mean, obviously, you fought with a good number of cars. You fought with, obviously, AT, Websy, Che Dan, as you mentioned. Was there anyone you enjoyed fighting in particular?
I think well, Che and Dan wasn't really a fight. I was always going to be overtaken from them, so I just let them by. Wasn't any point in losing time battling them. Websy and AT you can always trust to go wheel to wheel with, and usually you'll find, especially Websy. So I think Websy's probably the one. Although I probably had quite an intense battle with AT right at the start.
Definitely a fun one to watch in terms of what you were doing from up here in the commentary box. And I mean, obviously, TJ fell out the point in the end, so a bit gutting. Obviously, he tried the alternate strategy. Was the two-stop in mind for you at any point in this race?
Yeah, I was originally planning on stopping on lap 6 and going hard, like exactly what he did. And he said his tyres are worse, so I let him pit before me. And then I thought, well, I might as well, the tyres aren't actually as bad as I thought they could be. And it turned out to be the right decision to stay out and do the one-stop.
So things working out for your side of the garage, at least. In terms of next week, do you feel like we can get both Red Bulls in the points next time around?
It'd be nice. Obviously, it's Red Bull, Honda. Well, it's not actually Honda, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's Japan, and I feel I have decent pace this season. It's only been 2 rounds, but the pace has been there. There's no reason for it not to continue, but obviously every circuit's different. Every driver has their favourite circuits and their least favourite circuits, and it depends who shows up on the day.
And it'll be interesting to watch that next time out in the Japanese Grand Prix on the 15th. So so fantastic race for you. Hopefully the good form continues on into the next couple of weeks. We'll come now to 10th Cannon, who gets a bit of a bump back down to earth in the end. 10th, obviously P5 in the end after the report last week. P14 this time around. Is this sort of a return to what we saw at the end of last season?
I hope not. I was doing well until I spun, so I should hope this isn't a continuing thing, but no, I was just a bit off my form after that spin today. I tried to see if I could claw it back, but the tyre wear was mental.
I mean, I think we actually managed to catch the spin on the stream from Riding on board with Dan at the time. But talk us through the spin from your perspective.
I hit the curb, and I spun. It's not really much more to elaborate on other than that. I just made a mistake. I was suffering from dry eyes the entire race, and I was really distracted. So I thought I was doing well until then. So for it to end up like this is kind of a bummer, really, because I thought I was doing really well.
Yeah, no, I'd say pace was fantastic in that first part of the race prior to the spin. And for one stage, I did think you were going to get back. Can't speak. For one stage, I did think you were going to get back to the points. So I don't know. I think in terms of pace, there's been a definite improvement. between last season and this one. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. This is already going so much better than I could have ever hoped for. I mean, P5 in the first race and then Q3 in this one. I mean, I'm kind of riding high on that at the moment. So I can kind of... I feel like at this point I can kind of go into the next race knowing that things will probably be better than I expect them to. Like, I don't think I have to aim for around P12 anymore. I think I can like fairly consistently hope to be in Q3 at least. That being said, there were some people not qualifying on purpose, which I did hear about. So I don't know how much of that. I don't know how much that plays into things, but I think not much because I qualified 8th anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, is that something we could see carry on next week in Japan? Is there a good shot, another shout at Q3 appearance?
So, I don't know if we will, but I'm certainly gonna try. I'm gonna put some, see if I can put some laps in between now and then I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how it all turns out for you next Monday. So obviously, good job in terms of getting the car to the flag, the 2-stop, not to plan, but the pace again was good. So we'll take that into next week, and we'll come now last of all to HP Cook, who comes home in P11 in the end, just outside of the points, beaten narrowly by Ethan in the closing moments. Ethan, sorry, HP, is that gutting, mate?
Yeah. I think the defense strat worked perfectly, obviously, with letting Obsessed go and trying to nick DRS. Whether or not, I think there's some parts of that can be looked at from my own side of things, and working back on the race. But it is what it is. When your luck's not in, your luck's not in. I guess that's all we can really say.
Pace-wise, did you feel as strong as I did last week in Australia, or is this a bit more of a different performance?
I've never done well around China. I remember last season, pretty much doing the exact same thing I did today of doing a one-stopper and pretty much having to defend for dear life against cars behind to obviously get the first points at season, my first set of points here. But no, I don't think I performed well as Australia. Like, I'm not just big at Australia. That was as it is. But I don't think today helped either. So still scoreless after 2 rounds. Not here next week, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
Obviously, teammate Imri winning the race, so good sign for you guys in the Constructors' Championship. I know it's early days, it's probably a bit early to ask you this, but do you think that with some good points on the board, you guys can try and challenge for a higher place in the Constructors?
We'd like to think so. Again, like I've messaged him about 5 times this, but obviously congrats to him on win. He fully deserved that. Sorry, many map he just pretty much said adios amigos to the rest of the field in some parts of the race. Hopefully I can get back into points. It just depends obviously on strategy, load to everything else. So hopefully we can move up, but in this league there's that much things going off that you gotta think about that you're not sure obviously until we get to round 24 in Austriaverse, and we'll see where we are there.
It should be an exciting season to watch. But in terms of more short term, is that something you feel like can start happening from next week in Japan?
Well, as I said, obviously I'm here next week, so hopefully we can badge some more points. Yes, it's ordered. So hopefully we can badge some more points. I am missing, I think, one other race due to other commitments, but hopefully we can, get some points short term, and then really take it to teams above us who think they're cushy, but then they haven't seen us coming yet. Hopefully that's the aim. I just need to touch. So hopefully that's the main aim, to just get after them and show what we're really about.
Fighting words there. Do you know what? I love that so much, mate. I appreciate that. Right, that'll do us then. Fair play to everyone for obviously making the flag. Everyone finished the Grand Prix today, so no DNFs, no safety cars, everything a bit calmer compared to last week as a whole, except for 10, obviously, with the spin earlier. I don't know, I probably should have brought that up. But Ben, any final words before we sign off?
No, other than just congrats to everyone. Congrats to me, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. I think. In fact, no, I'm not here next week actually as well.
Right, so in that case, then
good luck to everyone, and hope we get better Zach as well.
Hopefully so. I've got another week to the 15th to sort of get my throat cleared up, but we've made it, ladies and gentlemen. I've survived, and you've got a commentator for next week, which is good. And that'll be on the 15th of December, same time, same place on the Zach RC channel. Thank you so much for watching tonight's race. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future RDL action. And until our next race in Japan, I'll see you then. Goodbye.